Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I am Josh, and that is my guest tonight, Jim Price. This is Conversations on the Fringe, live with you on the Christmas Eve special, where we're going to be talking about the origins of Christmas. If you guys don't know Jim, he hosts the Jim Price Show. You can find that at thejimpriceshow.com. We're going to post that in the chat so you guys can check that out. I was on his show last week, and he's on this show this week. We're gonna have a great conversation about Christmas. Really, it's about Christmas. It's about a lot of esotericism as well. A lot of Jim was actually just sitting here telling me about the history of the song Silent Night, which I had no clue about, which was really cool.
No, that's one of those little, it's one of those happenstance things, right?
Yeah.
The right things fall into place right at the right time. And so basically a bishop goes in, or whatever they want, a cardinal or priest or pastor, whatever it was at that time. And back in, it was like 1600 or something like that. Went in to go test the bellows on the pump organ, and the mice had got into the bellows. And so the pipe organ wasn't able to go. And they had written this poem, and they were wanting to have a song. So the guy, that his assistant or the layman that was working to be a preacher, whatever you want to call it, and I'm chopping this story up as best I can here, so it's completely inaccurate. So no, it's actually, so they basically, he's like, hey, I know how to play the guitar. So they took this poem. They had it's a one chord guitar song, where it's just basically this one chord goes into it, and if you actually go back to the original, that's how it all came together.
Wow.
And it has now been a mainstay for this time of year. So
it's absolutely one of my favorite songs as well.
Now, I could have that completely wrong, or I could be completely right. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys have to check that out, right? You have to verify, trust but verify. We'll do the whole Reagan effect, right?
Well, this is interesting because I know a lot about the esoteric history, the occult history, the pagan traditions that lead up to the creation of what we know of as Christmas today. If you're a Christian out there and you're celebrating Christ's birth, you know that 1,000 years ago, when this was celebrated, it was actually celebrated March 25th. Around that time frame. The December 25th was more reserved for certain paganistic religions. Now, one thing that the early church did is they didn't want to compete with pagan religions because they were the predominant religion or philosophies during that time. So instead of trying to compete with them, they just adopted their traditions into Christianity. And so this is how we have this adoption of, Saturnalia, of Krampus. I mean, even the evil aspects of this, right? Bacchanalism.
Well, and you go back. It goes back to Norse. I mean, the Norse religion, or the effect of Thor, or even
Woden.
Odin. Odin. And then you go into, why do they decorate evergreens? Well, that was to pay homage to their forefathers, but also to the gods. They would hang wood carvings and decorations and evergreens in the forest. It wasn't just during that time. So and then setting the wreaths on fire, rolling them downhill to show the new sun. So the wreaths were made to roll downhill, and if they didn't make it all the way down, they would make another one, and they would burn that to run all the way down. So that would be the effect of the new sun, which is the winter solstice. So we just passed through our shortest day of the year. So I mean, there's all these tie-ins, and it's like, how do you not? I mean, we want to see the purity of saying, "Oh, it's Christmas," but then we go back and find out that Coca-Cola is what created the red-suited guy we think is Santa Claus today.
Well, you know, interesting enough is they actually modeled it off of Odin. And so you get Odin, who is, by the way, he was known as
Odin and Krampus, right? And then Krampus and Odin are kind of
they're the duality, and they kind of like you have this. Well, Krampus comes from a more Germanic origin that derives from the Odin. Now, Odin was known as a sky rider. And what he would do is it was said that Odin would ride through the sky on his horse once a year and judge the people if they were good or bad.
Writing that list, right?
Right, writing that list.
Naughty list, right? Yeah.
And Odin did this because it was representative of... we have this anthropomorphication that occurs throughout history, philosophically, religiously, so forth. And this is translating what's happening in the sky and bringing it down to earth in a human form, in the sense of the archetypical form. So you have the sun going through this birth process where it's going to be rebirthed, right? And so what you want to do is, if you're going to die, you want to get all of the things off of your chest. You want to alleviate all of your sins, right? And then, so when you're reborn again, you're reborn fresh and new. This is kind of where Christianity...
That's where the new sun is coming in, right?
That's where the new sun comes in.
God. You got the Son of God, the new sun, everything's coming in. Now we're going out of the dark into the light because we have the new sun, the longer days coming in. I mean, the sad part of it is it's pretty easy to tear apart. I mean, you can see the simplicity of it, but yet we've raced right past it to call it Christmas.
Well,
it's like, there's so much more to it. It's like, oh, it's just Christmas. So it's just Santa Claus, the Easter egg and Easter bunny, which I mean, these are huge leaps to say that that's just how it always has been, but how did we get here, right? And that's what we're talking about. So the idea of those how we've evolved all this down or sifted it down to this, but then we forget where it comes from. So the Germanic effect and the Norse effect, those, because they're all Northern Sea, the North Sea, the Northern England, Ireland, Sweden, Norway. I mean, that's my lineage. When I go back, my fourth, fifth great grandfather is Captain Kidd, so I've kind of have that lineage in there. And so I start looking back, and I'm like, oh no, it makes a lot of sense to see how we've gotten here, but then we forget how we got here. So if we don't know our own history, that's where we fail. I think that's the sad part of this, is that we actually don't know our own history.
Well, not only that we don't know it, is a lot of people want to be defensive about it as well. Is this stuff that we're talking about tonight, it's very well documented in history, in philosophy, and in religion, and even within the early church. You had the Council of Nicaea, which brought about the adoption of many of these principles. One thing that people don't realize is that the Mithric religions, this is the worship of Mithras, was very predominant during the time of the early church, about 300 AD. And the Council of Nicaea actually formed to find out how to stop the progression of the Mithra worship. And what they did is they adopted the story of Jesus. They took the story of Jesus, the Gnostic Christian perspective, and then adopted it with the traditions of Mithras. And this is where he became born on December 25th, born of a virgin birth. You had the three wise men. You had the manger. This is all Mithra. This is all Mithrian worship. And this represents, obviously, the coming of the new sun.
But that ties into Romans, right? That ties into the Greeks. It ties into Christianity being formed. And then, I mean, so you can see where they were given and taken. Mm-hmm. They were trying to keep hold of this, but then satisfy. We're going to give them a little bit of Christianity. We'll give them a little bit of this, and then the little touches. And so that's why you say I have a problem with it. There's and I'm trying not to go too far tonight, and I don't know how far people really want to go tonight, but I don't want to step on too much because I am a Christian. I believe. I mean, I was actually on my show today, and I talked about the Bible that I had gotten from my folks that, when I was 15, when I moved out of my mom's house, my guardian parents had given it to me when I was a child. And then when I moved out at 15, it was the only thing I had. Yeah. I had that and a pair of shorts on. So, I mean, I'm reading from the Christmas story. But at the same time, I have to understand that the King James Version was written in a time of King James rule, right? Mm-hmm. But then I go back and I start looking at, then what is the Dead Sea Scrolls? And then I'm hearing about the fact that there's another lambskin Bible that's out there that's written in, at the time of Christ and things of that that's in that time frame. And then there's people saying that you want to have access to this, you have to pay a lot of money. So then we have to start looking at what did man do to touch certain things, and give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. How is that so simply written into the Bible that suddenly you start talking about taxation, or giving over to the government?
Right.
I mean, but yet God tells you to live as a free man. But then why would you give over to the government, or was that a touch? So I'm trying to make the parallel, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, because it's a very hard mental cramp for me, because there's things that I want to, I got my youngest is 26. He's upstairs, getting ready to eat some dinner. And, we did the Christmas stuff, you get open one up Christmas night or Christmas Eve, you get open one present, but Santa came and, here's all these, I played into all that. But now that I've become, I've started looking and bothering to look instead of just taking the commercialized version of Charlie Brown's Christmas, what have I got to look at differently here, right? And then we find out that there's a lot of these, and I'm going to go with this, guys. There's another statement I make on my show consistently. Every single, and I'm going to say this, and it's a limb that a lot of people don't want to go out with me on, but I'm going to say this. Every single movie out there is a documentary. I'm just going to tell you, hands down, Saw, Matrix, all that stuff. I think they were really telling us the truth about everything in the world around us as being these fictitious stories, but there's so many things that are actually real inside of those.
Interesting.
And we have to be discerning. I mean, that's my thing. But for me, I think we've missed so much only because we call it commercial, and they've churched it up with all this other stuff and distracted us from what was really the truth. And I said today on my show, every single bit of this, I don't care where you're at, the only thing that God tells you to do consistently is when two or more of you together, I am there. And at this time, what should we be doing? From the Mexican beer flu to tyranny to all the other stuff, is if we came together, guys, we come together, that's the fix for most of this.
Agreed.
But in reality, we go back to the traditions of where we're at and how we got here, the wreaths on our front door and the white. There's so much, you can see it back through the annals of time where it's been honed in to get it to where we are now. But then we're like, oh no, that's Santa Claus. And like, no, that's, that's a fictitious character, but then you're offended by us telling you where it came from. So which way is it? You're offended by the fictitious character, or you want to know where the facts are, right?
Yeah, so. It's interesting too, because if you look at this throughout history, what you find out is that our holidays, our rituals, and our traditions are actually molded by mechanisms of control of these power factions. Control. Yeah, information control. Like these power factions just trying to control you. Now, this is a mind screw for everybody out there. The current Christmas holiday that you celebrate right now, Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all of this stuff, is a 19th and 20th century creation of corporatism and elitists and robber barons.
Not long ago. We're
not long ago. Yeah,
you didn't say the 1200s. You didn't say 1300s. No. We're talking like just
1820, circa 1820. So this is crazy to know, because I took a lot of notes on this, because did you know in 1852 the Puritans overthrew the king in England and canceled Christmas? Did you know in 1719 in Boston?
That's about the same time when we said one man, one woman in the Bible.
That's right. 1719, the Puritans in Boston outlawed Christmas. Now, do you know why they outlawed Christmas?
No.
Oh, this is great. So you got to understand that these religions, these rituals came about from the early church trying to cover up or basically drowned out the Mithric worship or Saturnalia, these various types of worships.
That's because of the solstice effect, right?
That's right.
Trying to eliminate the solstice that we were paying homage to, the winter solstice,
right.
Spring solstice, that stuff, right?
So you have Bacchanalia, Saturnalia, you have Mithras, and each one of these celebrations was 12 days long, 12 days of Christmas, okay? And you know how they celebrated them? By getting shit-faced. Absolutely drunk.
The 21st to 25th, right?
Yeah. They would sit there and they would just get drunk every day. And part of the tradition was to get drunk and then go to random houses and knock on the door. And if you knocked on the door on Christmas, you would have to give up the best items in your house. The best food, the best drinks, whatever they wanted. And if you denied it,
Halloween.
yeah,
It's Halloween.
if you denied it, they would ridicule you. They would spit on you. I'm not joking here.
This is fine. This is acceptable adult behavior.
Yeah. But so what happens is the Puritans come in and they say, hey, this is not Christian. This is not godly.
No, someone got their feelings hurt. This was somebody who brought one good feeling to the party, and then like, oh, well, you hurt my feelings. This is. Hey, that would be a snowflake. They had a snowflake that ruined the party for everybody else.
So you know, yeah, it was more like Mardi Gras. It was celebrated more as Mardi Gras, and so we have this whole. I mean, they call them savage riots. Would happen on Christmas. And that's in 1719 when the Puritans actually canceled Christmas and forbade it here in the United States. They did this because of the savage riots that came about. Now, this is a little known fact that I didn't know. Did you know for, 67 years, Congress, the United States of America, after the American Revolution, did not celebrate Christmas? That Christmas was not celebrated primarily in the United States as a national holiday, and that Congress actually was in session on December 25th for 67 years.
Really?
Really. And so what happened is after the American Revolution, they wanted to increase the population of the United States. And so they had to redesign the concept of Christmas to get people together, to bring in the Yuletide, the whole spirit again of fertility. And this is what you have in 1819. A novelist by the name of Washington Irving wrote a book called Bracebridge Hall. And the stories are of an imaginary English manor hall where they went in and they celebrated. The rich and the elite would invite the peasants into their house and feed them and give them, money and presents and these types of things. Now, this was created in 1819. The next one that came out was Charles Dickens's Scrooge.
Right.
And they modeled.
Which is just rewritten. I mean,
yeah.
It's no different than Harry Potter is a rewrite of Star Wars. So, anyway.
Right.
But,
so,
anyway.
This is pretty...
Have you heard the analogy that Harry Potter never came out of the stairs?
I have heard this.
That really bothers me. That
does bother me too.
Really yeah. Sorry.
Oh, Dobby.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Anyway, well, what? So with that, but you see how it was very lazy writing, right? Mm-hmm. Someone had written a book about a book that they probably had read that book and then rewrote it in their own version, only because we were so disconnected and there was no copywriting.
Yeah.
And so they came up with another version of another version of another version, and you see how we've diluted it down, and then we're here today. Someone asked on the questions here on YouTube, says, when did I tell my kids about there was no Santa Claus? It was before 5. Basically the age of recognition, that they understood what was really going on, and we didn't do the Santa Claus thing anymore. But when they were younger, and there was some of that still going on for them at a younger age. But yeah, Jimmy was way ahead of the curve. He was the youngest, and he knew there was no Santa Claus. He's like, yeah, Dad, I know. I'm like,
yeah, my daughter. I asked my daughter.
An adult with me.
I asked my daughter if she believes in Santa Claus. She goes, Dad, of course I believe in you.
Nice.
I said, you're a smart one. You're a smart one, kid.
Yeah. I know it's you. It's like,
yeah. So
I thought I was better at this, No, anyway. So,
well,
kids are good. Kids are good.
Yeah, they are. And a lot of this, what we're talking about here, had to do with kids.
Yeah.
A lot of these things that come about during the rebirth of the sun, we like to think that there is something bigger and deeper going on here, spiritually, esoterically. And,
well, even Easter is tied to the solstice effect.
Right.
See,
well, the equinox.
Or equinox, yeah. But it's the quarter, right? It's the different quarters of the different effects. And so, we have Christmas, which is tied to that, but yet we're saying it's not. Then why did you tie it to that? Why did you move it to December? Why did you change that? Then why did why did the Romans do it? Why did the Greeks do it? If you're really trying to, they were trying to make everybody happy. So why were they trying to placate us? Well, you were in control. Why did you not do the thing? And by the way, Josh, I appreciate the fact that we were keeping our train time by making sure that we were tuning in at 7:30 Mountain Time. Because the only reason we have different time zones is so that the trains would be on time.
That's interesting.
You know that, right?
I did not know that.
The only reason we have time, again, this is why we just like daylight savings time is another BS thing about saving energy. But it's about control of people. And by the way, they've proven that daylight savings time creates huge amounts of depression and all kinds of other physical abnormalities. But anyway, emotional abnormalities. But the problem is that trains were the reason we have time zones. That was it. We didn't have time zones before that.
Yep.
So now we have it. And now we're running around saying, oh, I'm in my time zone this, my time zone that. And then you see the time zones, and I'm wondering, like, why does it do this? Why does the time zone go like this and not just right along
Why not a straight line?
Yeah. If time is consistent, then why does it jog around?
Why does it follow the main railroad tracks?
And Arizona's never did daylight savings time. They're not part of it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Don't worry about that. It's fine.
So, you know, one interesting tidbit is I'm a big eggnog fan. Now, it's actually documented in the United States of America when eggnog came. And it was in the first colonies in Jamestown, Virginia. And they talked about the first time ever having egg grog. And so the word nog actually derives from grog, G-R-O-G, which means with rum.
Right.
And so it's egg with rum. And so what happened is most likely someone...
It's not a drink. It's just eggs.
Someone was making a like a cream tartare or something like that, and they messed it up, and just throw some rum in there. All right.
Yeah. Well, but see, remember though, guys. See, we walk around like I have. This is alkaline water, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't get conflated that I'm over here drinking alcohol. I'm not a drinker, but this is alkaline water. I drink it on my show consistently, and I talk about it all the time. The benefits of alkaline water. But guys, the reason that alcohol was really like you hear about in the Bible, you hear about it in Egyptian times and all that, because water was really the biggest, like the pathogen, it was the pathway of making yourself sick. I mean, water was horrible, and they didn't really figure out that you could boil water or purify it. And so that's why if you put rum in the eggs, probably what it was is they had some eggs that weren't really that good. So they put some rum in there, and it took the botulism out. And so like, hey man, this stuff's pretty good, and I don't get the diarrhea anymore. It's like and so it's really a lot of this stuff correlates to keeping you like that when they were on the sea, when you were doing ocean faring and all that stuff, they would send them with wine and rum because it would last, and it was actually something they could actually purify or eating with alcohol, and they didn't realize it was the alcohol that was purifying it and keeping them from being sick.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
Anyway, that's those little things like that. We like, oh no, it's a traditional drink. No, they just didn't want to get diarrhea all for a week, from drinking bad eggs. So they put rum in there. I'm not real sure on, but the connection's not that hard to tie together, that they're trying to keep the eggs and the rum, and this lasts longer if you put some rum in there. Or they were just alcoholics.
Probably just alcoholics.
Yeah.
You mentioned Santa Claus earlier, and how Coca-Cola modeled him in the red decor. Now, there's many derivations of these stories of where Santa Claus comes from. Krampus is one of them. You have Siberian shamanism, which is my favorite derivation of who Santa Claus is.
I think that was the one that was really the most prolific for me, but yeah.
Yeah, the Siberian shamanism, for everybody out there that don't know this, you have something known as the Amanita muscarella mushroom. This is the red-capped, white-dotted mushroom.
Mario Brothers.
Yep.
The guy gets bigger because when you take those mushrooms, everything seems smaller to you.
Yep. And so
they right in front of your face. They tell you all this stuff. It's like, hey man, it's just Mario Brothers. And like, no, he gets bigger because he ate the mushroom because everything seems smaller.
And so the Amanitas muscarellas, they grow underneath the evergreen tree in northern climates. And so what would happen is the shaman, once a year, would go about and collect all the Amanita muscarellas underneath the evergreen tree. He would put them in socks and deliver them to the village people. The village people would take the socks and hang them on their fireplace awning, right? Until they dried out, and they'd be ready right around the winter solstice. And then they would do is they would share the mushrooms. Now, one way that they actually ingested them. Yeah, but here's
microdosing.
Well, here's one way they actually ingested them, because amanitas are actually really disgusting. And the actual psychoactive substance in it is really not that good for you, and you can actually have problems with it. But if you
know, that's what they use to go into battle, right?
Yeah.
You get into that point? All right, I don't want to jump ahead. So.
Well, I was going to get to that point, but I was going to show is what they would do is they would feed them to reindeer, which were very prolific within the Siberian tribes, and then they would follow the reindeer around and collect the urine. And then they would drink the urine because they'd have a more purified version of the Amanita muscarella's psychotropic drug.
Don't race past that part where they're drinking deer urine.
Well, and so here's the thing is they would feed it to the deer, so the deer would be tripping, and the deer would gallop around as if they were flying.
They would leap.
Right. And so the shaman would actually dress up in a red coat with white dots all over it, representing the spirit of the Amanita.
Wow.
It's
hilarious. I mean, I'm literally having like the giggles about it because you think about, I mean, they didn't have the internet. They're like, hey man, I'm gonna Google this. What's this? You know, they didn't have that picture this app. There's a picture this app that actually you take a picture of a tree or a leaf or whatever, it'll tell you what that is. So this guy is out there just like, hey man, like,
I wonder what that one tastes like. It's red. It looks yummy.
Yeah, it's like, all right, so these guys are freaking out when they eat this. All right, so yeah, you got to find a better hobby, man. I don't know.
Well, you know, this is interesting. There's an anthropology course that I took a while back, and they talked about how early man actually learned what to eat, what not to eat, and that was by feeding it to animals.
Right.
And so they would put something together. They'd feed it to the animal. If the animal lived, they would eat it.
Right.
I mean, those poor animals.
We were really not out there doing the beaker stuff. You know,
No.
We weren't really doing some real science. Like, hey, feed it to that thing. See if it dies. You know, it's like, lick that toad. Oh, wow, that's cool. Look, his eyes got big. Oh, yeah, why? I don't know.
Well, it takes you back to like the Amanita, not the Amanita, but ayahuasca, of how they actually produce ayahuasca. And 2,000 years ago, they were producing this concoction that basically utilizes one bark to neutralize the MOAI inhibitors inside of it. And there's no way they could have known this. And they just completely just start randomly putting things together and mixing them up. It's statistically improbable. It's some type of knowledge had to derive that.
Something. It couldn't be like a guy's like, hey, man, put a little bark in there.
Yeah. Hey, try some of that thing, man. Let's throw that in there.
Yeah,
Let's heat it up.
Something in there where like a guy's like, you know, something happened. But I mean, again, that's lost knowledge. Mm-hmm. See, we were running around, you and I'm not trying to say we're not intelligent, but we are kind of really stupid about some things that are amazing healing factors, amazing stuff that's in our. Okay, so this is a thing. It looks like I've been working in the field, but me and the dog were out last Monday in the backyard and we were messing around and she's deaf. And so I didn't know when you buy a Boston Terrier that if it has a blue eye, it's usually going to be deaf. But anyway, I paid full rate for it. That's fine. Anyway, we were out in the backyard messing around and I kind of goosed her. Well, she went around, reached around and was like, "Arr," and we usually play and she just happened to catch me with her canine. And she got down into the meat of my hand.
Yeah.
Okay. But before I go on, I'm gonna tell you what happened where her tooth got down on the meat of my hand and what I did to fix it. At the moment of conception, look this up. You go out and prove me wrong. But at the moment of conception, there is a zinc aurora that happens. Mm-hmm. The very moment, and they've measured this. They said it's a zinc flash. I'm using layman's terms. They got some really cool term for it. I've been putting Abreva is for your cold sores, which is a virus. I've been using Abreva. If I get a pimple, I put Abreva on it. If I get a sore or a cut, not a sore, but I get a cut, I put Abreva on it because it's pure zinc.
I was going to say, is it zinc citrate or?
Yeah, it's all zinc. So if I take this off right now, you would see that instead of having a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch cut on my hand, it's only about a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch now. And it's only been about a week.
Wow.
So a week and a few days. So in a week and a few days without stitches, because I'm a disabled vet and I'm not going to the VA because they're going to want to give me the jab. And I'm like, ain't going. So I said, no, I'm just going to put some zinc on it and a Band-Aid. And that's what I've done. And it's actually closing itself up. Like there's no scarring and it's actually closing itself up where there's this V cut in my hand.
It's interesting because Neosporin is like almost all zinc. So really
But
cool.
it has the petroleum jelly, which, by the way, guys, why do we race past petroleum jelly? Like, why do we not pay attention to what is right in the name of
petroleum, oil-based, like, yeah.
Oil-based,
Byproduct
like,
of gas.
Not like vegetable oil based, but yet all vegetable oil is estrogen. By the way, guys, if you guys are cooking with estrogen or oil, vegetable oil, or you're using shed spread or any parts of the hydrogenated soybean oil, get it out of your house. Do not use it.
Now,
go back to bacon grease, fats.
Yep,
do not use
lard. Now, Jim, let's transition. I mean, I got 100 things that we can talk about on Christmas Origins, and I want to get into it. Yeah. But why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, about your show, what you got going on, and how you got into your show?
Okay, so for me, guys, real quick, and thank you guys for being here. They've got a ton of great comments. People from Australia are in here, and awesome. I have some great Australian listeners as well. So 3 years ago, I started a radio show. Now, that sounds pretty simple, but I've never been on the radio, never done anything like that. Let's go back a little bit further. 6 years ago, I ran for office. And when I ran for office, I went up against a guy who should have been a fairly easy win for me. But I went, did my thing, and I lost by 7.5%. So if I go into do the old voter fix and all those kind of things, a friend of mine is Dr. Douglas Frank, and he's a great physicist, works with Mike Lindell. He showed me where I won my election in 2016 because they do this 15% swing. But what happened was when I ran for office, they did this litmus test against me, and they looked at me and says, hey, this guy is not going to be bought out, so we need to go with the other guy. And the establishment, now I'm not telling you R's or D's. This is not a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independent thing. This is a establishment against the non-establishment. Mm-hmm. I was considered to be a non-establishment guy because I wasn't going to do the pay to play. Now I found about the money, the lobbyist money, the investment firm, the Cool Kids Club, whatever you want to call it. I ran up against, I saw it, and I said, if I ever see one impropriety, $1 move, whatever it is, I will call it out. I will expose it. I will not play that game. And that's what I said on my campaign. It was very, very clear. But I also said, no taxes on property, no food tax. Why would we have taxes on utilities? The stupid stuff that, and that really pissed them off. So here's the thing. I suddenly lose my above top secret security clearance with the DOD. I was a private contractor with the DOD for 17 and a half years. I was designing the emergency command centers, the very hairy, scary, kind of cool stuff. I would design it, build it, and then train the military how to use it.
Okay.
Did that for 17 years. So I knew in my lane, I was that guy. I was the very top of my field. I was the one who knew how to keep their secret, right? I was that guy. Now I don't know about, Area 51, and I don't have all those secrets. I just knew in my lane where my security clearance was. So every time I would swipe my car key in a door and a gate at the entrance of a base, my security clearance was constantly being reran. They were constantly checking me because it was very sensitive. So when I ran for office, all of a sudden I had a hit and I lost my security clearance. Well, it wasn't lose it, it was put on hold. Well, that can take 6 months to a year, depending on how fast the IG wants to work to see what this impropriety was. Mm-hmm. Well, then you lose your job. And because now then I can't lose, I lose my security clearance, I lose my job, and then they start writing news articles and they start tearing your life apart. And this is what the establishment does. And to give you a parallel story, look at Roger Stone, General Flynn, Trump. This is what the establishment does. When they don't like you, they go after you. So that's what bothers me about Mitch McConnell and some of these others, because they don't go after them. So that tells me that he's actually paying both sides of the fence. So he's a tool. Anyway, so I'm watching my life get tore apart. And I'm like, why is this happening? I can't understand this. And a marshal comes up and says, hey, Jim, I'd like to talk to you. I was told that there's some things going on in your life. And this is a very high level person that was in the Trump administration that actually tapped this guy to come and help me out. And so he started telling me about the things that were going on in my life that weren't bad luck. It was the establishment play. So fast forward a little bit, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do a podcast. So I'd put on my campaign page, I'm gonna start a podcast. A friend of mine was working at a radio station, says, hey, why don't you just do a radio show? Sure, why not? That's what I want to do. So I went in, started a radio show on Saturday nights, 2 hours, went live the first time, and never looked back. Went to 10.2 million on Facebook, and had some really great stuff. And as soon as I went to that level, I was competing with Hannity's numbers. And as soon as I hit that, I had community standards violations through Facebook and couldn't monetize, and YouTube and blah, 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 all that good stuff. So 3 years later, here I am. I still do my daily update. I started it last March, not this March, but last March in 2020. When I started seeing the fart in the wind go around and the Mexican beer flu was freaking everybody out, and I felt like I just needed to talk to people daily and really get the truth out about that. Don't live under your warm blanket of fear in your hall closet. Be a different person, be better than you were the day before. And so my show is We Stand With All Patriots, individual freedoms, individual liberties. And I can basically test everybody's story by selflessness or selfishness. And that's all I do. I look at a politician, I look at a media, I look at a movie star, whatever you want to do, and I can basically see what their actions are by selfishness or selflessness. And that tells me where they're going and what they're about. So for me, that's what I did. So thank you for listening to all that. But that's kind of where I'm at. And it's been a heck of a journey for me, because when the establishment came after me, I had a lot of life savings saved up. So I've been able to kind of keep myself alive and doing things like that by living off those things and doing those kind of right things. I bought some classic cars when I was making good money. And so I've had to sell those things off. But this is what the establishment does, guys. And if you don't understand, like, the establishment does little touches. It's just my job. It's just my job. It's just my job. Just my job. And it's like, if I hear it's just my job one more time, I'm going to scream, right? I'm tired of hearing this. But the establishment does this, and this is how they tear people apart. If you're not going to be on their side, if you're not going to do it their way, then they start coming after you, and they just chip away, chip away, chip away. So anyway, that's my story. Started 6 years ago, but the radio show started 3 years ago. I am on cable in Connecticut statewide. I had a producer out of Connecticut, so I do a weekly show there on Monday nights at 7:30 in Connecticut. And then I do my daily update at 4 p.m. Central every day. And so it's, for me, and this has been my outlet. I started thinking about, I just want to do this because AOC was pissing me off. And, I was like, I'm tired of this crap, and I wanted to have and I was feeling the pressures, and I wanted to vent, and it's been a very, very good therapy for me. But let me give you one more thing, guys. This is how close the establishment will do for you. The gentleman, I call him a gentleman because I do try to, I'm trying to be nice about this, and I shouldn't be. I should be. I have righteous indignation. I should be able to crucify these people without any conscience. But I still say the gentleman I was having coffee with for 3 years was a judge. And he's since retired, but the judge I was having coffee with for 3 years on my birthday said, Jim, hey, happy birthday. Knowing that morning he had signed the no-knock warrant for the SWAT team to come into my house at 10 o'clock. And he knew that he had signed the no-knock warrant for them to come in at 10 a.m. in my house on my birthday, and he knew that. This is how close the establishment will come up to you and touch you. And you don't even think that, it's this far away entity. No, this guy was looking for a federal appointment, and he thought that this would probably be his ticket to ride. I know what he was talking about. I know what he was thinking of. And they thought they would tap him to a federal appointment if he was going to play the establishment way. And I know what he did. So they sealed and redacted my probable cause statement for a year. This is how illegal they are. They don't care about laws.
Yep.
They'd rather kill you than deal with you. But the judge I was having coffee with for 3 years, most every morning, he signed my no-knock warrant, and then said, hey, happy birthday, Jim.
Wow.
Knowing at 10 o'clock they were going to raid my house with a battering ram and tear my house apart. Now, they've done two no-knock warrants on my house, guys.
And that's how you can judge a person, by selflessness or selfishness. Right, and that's a perfect example.
Yeah, he was looking for that step up.
Now, can we inquire, what were the no-knock warrant? What was this all about?
Pot,
marijuana, cannabis.
Yeah, that was it. And they said they didn't say I had it. Well, actually, they said that an anonymous complaint said that I was dealing drugs to kids.
Right, of course.
And first of all, guys, I don't even drink, and I had an above top secret security clearance. With the DOD for 17 years. So this doesn't fit. I'm not that profile. And by the way, and Josh, we've talked about this before. I have this long hair now, right? But a year and a half ago, my hair was shorter than yours. Yeah. I call it the big boy haircut. My son gives me crap. Even he was giving me crap today about me, like, oh, you've let yourself go. Your hair's so long and all this other. You used to never let me have long hair. And I'm like, but I was that guy. I fit in that box. And even though I was in that box and I was a good guy and I wasn't breaking the law or doing anything, they come in and that's how they tear you apart by saying, oh, he's a drug dealer. So they wrote this article about me. They've written several articles about me that is a drug dealer and all this other stuff. But that's what they do. That's the touch. And so they, oh, he was dealing drugs. But the thing is, on the no-knock warrant, it says that there was suspicion of that there was marijuana or marijuana paraphernalia in the home. And so that's what they took a battering ram to my front door for. It wasn't that there was anybody's life in danger. There wasn't any death. There wasn't any threat of harm. Nothing. Is that there was pot in my house. And guys, if you don't see the selective prosecution, the selective things that they do, you're not paying attention. This is the world we live in. Roger Stone, how is it CNN just happened to be outside Roger Stone's house at 6 a.m. when the FBI SWAT ran into his house?
Oh, yeah. Well, the same thing with Project Veritas, right?
Yeah.
Jim O'Keefe's house. They were calling him for comment a minute after it happened. Like, how did you know about this?
Yeah. Magic. And the guy who wrote the articles about me, the marshal. So here, get this, guys. So the marshal department knows that the guy who was writing the articles about me received $750,000 in cash into his checking account over 4 years. The marshal department wrote a case about this and turned it over to the DOJ, and the DOJ has not prosecuted. Just like the judges that were involved in my case, that they came after me, they have been turned in for DOJ for a case. Nothing has happened. The DOJ won't pick the case up. The cases have been turned in. I talk to my guy consistently, my contact with the Marshals Department. We talk all the time, and he's a really cool guy. And he's like, man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they won't take your case, man. But they could literally, if as soon as they pick my case up, my life would be put back together instantaneously, but the DOJ won't pick it up.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting, too, because you have the right to your accuser under constitutional law. And this is how they do it. No-knock warrant from an anonymous source. And that source cannot... and that's all they have to do. Oh, anonymous source. We had an anonymous call, and that's why we're here.
Yeah. Like, no, don't worry about that. That's fine. Anonymous.
Yeah. That'll hold up in court. We're protected.
But to have it, guys, a probable cause statement, you're to receive that within, I think most states it's 48 hours is the longest you can... before you have to receive your probable cause statement for your arrest. Mm-hmm. They have to serve this paper to you to show you why you were arrested. Mine was, sealed and redacted. Okay, not only did they go in black thing, you've heard, guys have heard redacted and all these, stuff coming out. They redacted and then sealed it, a judge's order, for a year. I had to pay, I was on my third attorney before I could get that attorney to get in there and get it unsealed and unredacted. And then I found out that's the judge. I was still having coffee with him. After my arrest, and they dropped, all this stuff that they did after the second no-knock warrant, I was still having coffee with this guy to find out that he was the one who signed the first one. It took a year for me to find out the guy I'm still having coffee. He's still Facebook friends with me. This is how this plays, guys. I leave him on there. I'm like, yeah, Ben.
Whatever.
His name is Ben. His name is Ben. He's still my Facebook friends.
Wow.
Guys, this is the world we live in. And the selection, the picking and choosing of how you prosecute is amazing. And they're human, but when the political arm wants them to do something or pushes them in a certain direction, it's just a slight touch. It's moving you here, it's moving you there, it's moving you here, moving you there.
And, it goes back to a lot of this control faction that we're talking about today. Is that
these stories fit right into this.
Oh, yeah.
How do we get here? It's like, it's not hard for me to see it because I'm living it.
Yep.
It's like, golly, guys.
It's all, guys, I'm working on a documentary right now known as The Slave Matrix. Soon it'll be up on the first parts of it, and the advertisements for it will be up on slavematrix.com. But it's about this transition from the old slave matrix into the new slave matrix. And the old slave matrix is analog information of how it's controlled and disseminated, and basically how it was dictated through law and made us slaves. Legal slavery.
Universal Commercial Code. If you don't know what
UCC,
you don't. And I'm working on my secure party creditor right now. I have my UCC
explain
number.
that, what that is.
Okay, secure party creditor actually allows you, under Universal Commercial Code, they have a key for you to get out of jail. There is a way for you to get out of the prison of being in a corporation. So how do we verify that? Real quick, I'll go through a couple things here.
All right, let's do this.
This is
Merry Christmas, guys. Here you go.
This is a big lesson. Okay, so right here, this is my authenticated birth certificate. I just happen to have it sitting here. I don't say it happened because I really have been working on this documentation at my desk here. So right here it says United States Department of State, to all whom this presents shall come greetings. I certify the documents here under annexed is under the seal of state of Arizona. So this is the Department of State. This is a federal, okay? And then here's the Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So my federal authentication, my state authentication, and then my birth certificate that's attached. So I'm not going to try to expose too much of it. I don't know how much is really that big deal, but see, state of Arizona, certificate of vital records. Now, by the way, guys, on this right here, this number, this birth number, okay, that is a contract. That is a stock number. Then over on this other corner of this, right down here, is another number. Okay, you can look those up and you can find out exactly how much you're worth and how much they've been trading your stock for. Now, so let's go.
Seed and Co., right? Seed and Co.
Right. So your names are full caps on your birth certificate because you're a corporation. That's why you are birthed through the birthing canal.
Capitis L. Mucius Maximus, Roman canon law.
Yep. So we live under UCC. Now, under the UCC, you can take and pull yourself out of it and get a UCC file, and you take ownership of your fictitious as a free human. Now, if you know what is the Bible tells you that God says you should live free. You should not, be controlled by a man, right? It tells you to live free. So under UCC, I'm working on my secured party creditor. I'm working on that right now. I'm waiting to get my tax filing stuff done before I give the judge a cease and desist order that I can give him, because he lives under UCC. He lives under law, not under court of record. So he lives in a court of administration, a court of law. That's why he has a black robe, which is a British extension of authority into our country. A black robe judge is a British extension of authority into our country. I can serve him as a free human and say, cease and desist this interaction with this James Price. And in that moment, he has to pull the case, and then I can trademark my name, and they cannot use my name without my permission. They cannot bring charges. They cannot come after me. They cannot write articles if I trademark my name as well.
Interesting.
So party creditor. Oh yeah, it's amazing, and that's all on UCC. Guys, listen to me. The Hague, understand it, Hague countries is a big part of this. Understanding what the Hague is, that when you say you want a authenticated birth certificate, you have to say you're going to Thailand.
Right.
Thailand is not part of Hague. That's why when you go to Thailand, they say when things go on in Thailand that doesn't go anywhere else, that doesn't happen anywhere else on Earth, because they do not have the same laws there as anywhere else on Earth. They basically don't have laws. It's a very Wild West effect.
Interesting.
So we're living in a world that literally the jailer's not going to tell you the keys underneath your pillow.
Right.
But under UCC, there's an exact formula of how you get yourself out of the corporation and become a free man. And I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not BSing you, and this is not sovereign citizen stuff. This is literally secure party creditor. It's UCC law. It's their law that they all live under, that we're just using that system to say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take me back.
Yep.
Okay? And they can't do anything about it, because as soon as you do it, they can't touch you. That's why, let me blow your mind for a second, Josh. Let me work with me here for a second.
Yep.
That's why Hillary Clinton can never be arrested. Because she's a secure party creditor. That's why AOC is a secure party creditor. That's why she's out there running her mouth and buying a bunch of dresses and all that stuff, because she's got money and she's a secure party creditor and no one can touch her. Now, the tribunal, the military can go after her, because that's a whole different effect. Military law is not under UCC authority. They are under their own authority. But as a secure party creditor, not one law enforcement, one judge can touch you.
Interesting.
That's boom. That isn't a show right there. I don't know what else is. But guys, that's the process I'm going under, because I didn't know about this. I didn't understand this. And I always understood when I was in high school. I'm 50 now. And Josh, you're what, 25, 26? You look very young for your age, by the way.
Well, I love you. I love you.
So no, you look great. So when I was in high school in the early 80s or mid 80s, I said, hey, why is Washington, D.C. not part of America? Why is it a separate entity?
Right.
And my history teachers and my librarians are like, well, it's just paperwork. Don't worry about it. It's just,
It's just documentation.
Like, oh, yeah. It's just how they do it. It's just, But if you look under UCC, you look under the Corporation of America, you look under 1871, you look at the City of London, you look at the Vatican, they're all separate entities that are tied together. You look under what General Grant did. He had to sell himself off because we didn't have any money in the Civil War, but then the Civil War was actually BS anyway. But anyway, Universal Commercial Code, guys, secure party creditor. You can make yourself a free human.
Well, we're gonna have to get more into that, man. We're gonna definitely have to get more into that. I would love to pick your brain about that, and we can do a.
It's a mental cramp, though, even for me. Because see, remember, I'm Mr. Military, right? I was F-16 maintenance specialist.
Right.
I was a crew chief, and so I worked on F-16s, and so I got hurt, and they gave me an honorable discharge. They're like, hey, thank you for your service. And then I go into private contracting under the DOD a few years later, 17 years of that. So I'm Mr., straight and narrow. But then you tell me that my entire world is nothing but a corporate contract?
Yeah.
Screw you guys. You're telling me that's all this is? This whole thing? I thought we had like flags and honor and no, it's just
it was all hijacked.
It's a commercial contract. Don't worry about it. It's just corporate law.
The Civil War is really what happened to this country when the freedom was actually lost. And it's interesting how a lot of this plays into it.
The British extension of authority into our world when the Crown put black robe judges into our court system. British Accredited Register.
Yep,
Bar Association.
Yep. 100%.
That right there should set you guys into a spin. Merry Christmas, by the way. Go home and open up your presents.
Now, hold on a second here. So this is interesting because we talk about the long hair because a lot of these guys back in the olden days, they would wear the long hair or they put on the wigs. Now, it was a guy by the name of Thomas Nast. Thomas Nast with Harper's Weekly. Okay? And so during this time in the late 1800s, they were trying to figure out what Santa Claus should look like. And some people portrayed him as a gnome, and some people portrayed him as an elf, a drunkard, riding a turkey, right? All these different things. And it comes out that they portray him like the robber barons of the day. And this came from Thomas Nast, who wrote about it and articulated it within art, basically describing some of the robber barons of the day as white-bearded people, big old fat bellies, and long white hair. Now, I love this fact because the long white hair, the robber barons always signified this as a point of power, right? The elitists. Have you ever looked at any of these old movies that show, like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? It's always long hair. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the Sheriff of Nottingham, long hair. Robin Hood, they all had long hair. It wasn't because there was no scissors for haircuts or knives for haircuts. It was because it was a signification of power. It was a symbol of power. Now, the long hair derives from
virility, power, manhood, all those things, right?
This goes back to Odin. And Odin, so you get into these old Norse gods, and Odin did have long hair. Now, we talked a little bit about the oak and the evergreen.
Right. Or the Yule log. Talking about the Yule log?
The Germanic Yule log. I mean, this is, they would cut it down on Christmas and it would burn for 12 days. There you go again.
Would keep that log until next year to start the new fire for the next year. I mean, but then that goes to the friendship bread, right? I mean, there's that and that. Guys, we're not this dumb. I mean, we are, but we're not. Yeah, we are. Do you feel like, you guys get the mental cramp I keep talking about, right?
Yeah.
And we want to celebrate. There's like, eggnog. Well, no, it's just to keep the eggs fresh. Well, crap. Oh, Santa Claus. No, crap. That's a creepy story too.
Santa Claus. The name Santa Claus, right? There's many derivations. There's Santa Claus. There's a lot of people say it's not a palindrome, but you mix the words. An acronym, not an acronym. It's anyways, you turn it around, it's Satan, right? Well, here's the thing, is Santa Claus derives from Saturn. So,
Right.
We wear rings around our fingers. We wear earrings on our ears. These are significations of the ancient Canaanite or Akkadian god El, also known as Saturn. Now, Jim actually just mentioned this, that we have judges who wear black robes. We have graduates who graduate and get indoctrinated into a degree of life that wear black robes and a square hat. The square symbol in masonry, the checkered board, the white and the black squares. Saturn
It has to do with them holding the mud, the square mud tablet where they were using concrete or masonry mud to be a mason. Again, we don't pay attention, guys. It's not that brilliant, okay? We're not that smart. Let me get back to that. We're not that smart. Like, hey, this is like, some cosmic. No.
Well, actually, hold on. There is this connection here.
Oh no, I get it, but I'm just saying it's like we didn't go out and like really think. Like anyway.
So Santa flies through the sky, right?
Right.
Now, here's the thing: is God blessed us with His only Son, correct? That Yahweh or God gives us His Son. We have the Bethlehem star. If you go outside right now and you look up into the night sky, what is the brightest star that you see right at dawn?
Saturn.
Saturn. There it is. Saturn. Yeah. Now, last year we had what two stars right next to each other?
A lot of times, but it's Saturn. Actually.
What two stars did we see last year in a conjunction on the winter solstice? Jupiter and Saturn.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Who are the two old gods? Zeus and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn. You have Yahweh, and then you have Jehovah. Okay? So these are the two gods. So the Bethlehem star, by the way, Bethlehem means house of bread. Okay? Now, this is anthropomorphication in many different ways. Jesus was born in a manger. Now, a manger, right, is a crib, but this is in an animal's, right? It's portrayed in the animal's bedding, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Listen to this. This is Gnostic Christianity.
Remember, though, back in the Middle East, they don't have the same type of quote-unquote bedding that we have.
That's right.
So we substitute things like straw and things that we think of, but that's not what they. Anyway, sorry.
Right. So here's this is freaking crazy. All right. So the Bethlehem, okay, represents the house of bread. Now, I've heard this before in many different things. When you start talking about Solomon's temple, you actually enter Solomon's temple and you enter the 12 houses of bread, okay? And these are the 12 archetypes of mind, but they're also represented in the 12 zodiacal symbols. And so Bethlehem represents the house of bread, house of the zodiac, and the Father moving through it, which blesses us with His newborn Son. The newborn Son is anthropomorphized within the human being as the seed in the basal chakra, in the bottom, in the animalistic, instinctual part of your body. That's why Jesus was born in a manger next to the animals, because He's the baby born next to the animals who's going to rise up and enlighten humanity, rise up to His spiritual progression, His Christhood, His anointed state of the kings of kings without the crown.
I would tie that into Odin and Thor, and I mean, then the Rainbow Bridge, and then I mean, come on, guys. I mean, these leaps, these connections are not huge leaps, and that's why I'm not saying that we're not smart, and some of this is not really well put together. But again, it's not very original. Yeah. It's like the whole fart in the wind and the Mexican beer flu. I mean, this is the same stuff that Fauci's been doing for 40, 50 years now, guys. There's nothing new about this. It's just rebranding, right? And just like the same thing with the Santa Claus story or the Night Before Christmas and those kind of things, it's just a rebranding of the same thing that we've been passing down. They put a new little spin on it, and then the problem is because they own the printing presses, because they own the information. Okay, do you guys know? Let me go with this one. Did you know that nudity wasn't a problem until the Puritans and the elites came along? So the Queen Mum, you know how she really changed things in England? The more clothes you put on is the more important, or the more rich or more powerful you are.
Yep.
So you have more money, more power, whatever it is, by putting more and more clothes on. Nudity was never a problem until the Queen Mum. And she's the one, and the Puritans went around, and the elites then said, oh, well, nudity is only for the elites. So they brought all the statues and all the arts into their homes, where then it was no longer available to the public, and they shunned those who showed their body away, showed their body off. We never had all these clothes. I mean, we've made so many big mistakes by allowing a few, like right now, we're all saying that, we got to run around, and if I want to self-identify as an attack helicopter, you need to change your ideology and bend your will to my thinking because I want to be attack helicopter today. That's the same idea as them taking nudity away from us, taking away, we got to do whatever Queen Mum says because she's a single person who was having sex with horses. Why are we following this lady? I mean, that's because we see these little touches in history, but we keep chasing them. Why? Yep. Why do we chase that we think that nudity is so bad? But yet, then how did the nudity thing come a part of the Bible? Why was nudity such a significant part of it that they saw themselves as being naked? Again, but the human body should not be demonized. Why do we demonize the human body? Who put that in our heads? Who made us think that way? How did we get to Santa Claus? How did we get from Odin to Thor and then how do we get to Reefs rolling down the hill to the new sun and
So go back in here, go all the way back to Constantine, Nicaea. Remember they had the Ethereum religion that they wanted to suppress. Well, one of the things they did is they adopted a lot of these pagan traditions. One of them was the worship of the tree. This comes from Nordic. This also comes from Siberian lore that we just talked about, and also Ethereum lore. The Romans talked a lot about the evergreen tree because the evergreen tree survived winter. It didn't lose its pine needles. It survived winter. It kept its color. So it was the epitome of rebirth or survival.
Like we think of pine tree, like it's evergreen is in like evergreen trees.
It's evergreen. It's always green. Right. So this tree symbolized this birth and survival through the winter times. So guess what they did? Is they brought it in to the Christmas religion, the Christmas celebration ritual, and they decorated it with apples to represent the Garden of Eden.
But that's also the Norse tradition of painting wood carvings and ornaments to show their homage to their lineage, to the forefathers they had, but also to Odin and to Thor.
That's right. And then mistletoe, which comes from the holly tree, they hung, which they said now the church adopted it as representing the crown of thorns upon Jesus' head.
Right.
And that the redness of the thorns was the blood that Jesus shed.
Conifer trees, basically. That's what I was trying to get.
Conifer trees.
Like conifer. So there's a different types of trees that are, bigger leaf trees and this and that, but they always have the green leaf or pine needles or fringed. So they're a conifer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry. I was looking that up. I was like, what is that? I was trying to think of that name. Going back to my high school biology, what is that? I was like, I can't remember it. But anyway, this is the stuff that we don't. But again, it's so simple, right? When you go and look this up, you're like, oh crap! Now I get it. All right, well, I guess I'm not buying a Christmas tree. Or do you buy it? And this is something that me and you have talked about offline, and we talked about even on my show, is the energy we put into symbols. So, I'm having a real personal struggle with this because, the swastika, which was used in a lot of Christian stuff early on, but also
it's a Vedic, Hindu.
Right. So this was all very. It was a great symbol. It was fine, but then one of Hitler's army's units picked it up, and then they started using it.
So it derives from the Thule Society. So the Thule Society was an occultic society that manifested out of the Theosophist Society. These became the Astara, which was Hitler's occultic circle, basically the ones that thought that the Vril were alive and all these things. This was Hitler and Groening and all these guys were within the Astara.
There was a chick that was really heavily involved. He had like a lady. People don't know about his spiritual advisors.
I forgot her name.
She was just outside of people don't realize she was.
She was one of the heads of the Thule Society. I can pull her up.
She was just outside of focus. Like people really don't know about her, but she was a huge influence to him. like big.
I want to say Alice Bailey, but it wasn't Alice Bailey.
No.
But it's and so this is amazing too, because the Thule Society, one of the main members is a guy by the name of Rudolf Hess. Okay.
Oh yeah.
German politician and leading member of the Nazi Party in Nazi Germany. Now, the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? This became popular around.
That's a children's song.
That is, it became popular around this.
But how do you introduce it into
time.
society? You use the kids.
That's it. That's exactly what they did. Is they were changing the belief structure of what these holidays actually were. Because if you could control the rituals, you can control the outcome of the rituals.
Do you do that? You bring it up through the kids, and then the kids take it on into society.
That's it. And that's why you organize this with presents and so forth, right?
Yeah. Common Core math, guys, it's fine. Estimating math, that's exactly how it's done. Don't worry about that. You guys know what Common Core math is, right? How they actually estimate their answers, they guesstimate. You know that's a part of Common Core math.
Right.
You know
yeah. My daughter's having a hard time with it.
I have always thought math was, maybe I was always told, and I have, Dr. Douglas Frank, the physicist that works with Mike Lindell, he's a friend of mine. He's like, math is always consistent. I'm like, well, unless you're talking about Common Core. He's like, shut up. He just gets mad and it's silly, like, don't talk about Common Core. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And he's like, and he's a physicist. Like, he got a PhD in it, and he teaches at a very, by the way, guys, if you guys want to disparage him or say he's a quack or whatever, he teaches it at a very elite, gifted college. Not I pay a lot of money to go to school college. It's a gifted college. And so he's a smart guy, very cool guy. And I talked to him.
And I think we might have been talking about is Hitler was actually influenced a lot by Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophist Society.
That's who, right? I think that's who it
is. And there's nothing evil about Madame Blavatsky as many people think, but a lot of these female Mason cults derive from the Blavatskyan age. The Alice Bailey Luciferian Trust or Lucius Trust that derives from this, they had a lot of influence within the Thule Society within Nazi Germany. And a lot of the mysteries that were uncovered by the Theosophists are what they utilize in the Thule Society to go out there and basically start looking for certain things. Now, to go into this is, you're right, the symbology was hijacked, and this is the thing that we have to look at with Christmas today, is that symbology is hijacked. And I talk a lot about this, that a symbol is a quantum representation of a probabilistic state, which means that if I give something intention, okay, that quantum state is going to collapse into something of actuality. It's going to take shape and form. It's going to recognize me as what I'm recognizing it as. If not, it stays in this wave function. It just seems probabilistic. But once I give it intention, I start looking at it, it starts becoming something. Well, this is what holidays are. Holy days. Holy days are representative of exactly this. They are representative symbols on the actual calendar in time. And they represent certain aspects of the human dichotomy, if you want to call it, the dualistic nature of humanity, as well as the multiple archetypes of mind. And so if you can control the symbols that dominate a ritual, a holiday,
distract us from what we were originally focused on.
That's right. You can control that society moving forward. Now think about this. Just think about everything that's been happening in the news as of late. Fauci. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can have Christmas. Maybe you can't have Christmas, right? Oh, supply chain. There might not be enough presents for Christmas. Biden's. Oh yeah, there's gonna be enough presents for Christmas, right? Is all this stuff was about the commercialization of Christmas, and are we gonna be able to celebrate? Are you gonna be able to have presents for Christmas? Are you gonna be able to have a good? Are you gonna be able to see your family during Christmas, right? What they're doing is they're controlling the narrative of your rituals,
but using fear.
Which
is the easiest emotion to fabricate. You can fabricate fear easier than you can laughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at. I mean, fear is nothing. We exist with fear consistently, right? So they're using our least common denominator, which really should piss us off. Like, that really should make you mad. Well, that they're using fear.
The problem is that most people exist in a state of psychological suppression. They are already in a state of fight or flight, and so when a new instigation of fear comes about, they have nothing to do but cower in the corner because they are already defeated. their cortisol levels are already shot. And the cortisol levels are shot because hormonally, they have been massively imbalanced through diet and through environment for the last 30, 40, 50 years of their life.
I watched myself go through when I started going through all these things, the no-knock warrants. I saw I couldn't handle a knock on the door.
Yeah.
It would, and you know, people talk about PTSD. Oh, it's not real, but there are things that can affect what PTSD is not. That your whole life but there are little triggers, right? And most of that's because your adrenal glands, your fight or flight, your ability to handle situations has been so stressed that there's nothing left but overreaction.
Right.
You don't have the ability to think it through positively or have a good outcome.
Oh man, it's I love the talk of symbolism because when you start getting into Christmas, it's all over the place, and I think it's crazy that, and I love all of you guys out there.
The little things into symbolism, right?
Yeah.
So it's in its innocence, again, like the internet. The innocence and the internet was, hey, let's communicate. Then here comes porn, right?
Right.
It instantly loses its innocence, right? So the same thing with anything else. It was an innocence of, you know, this tradition. We do these things trying to show homage to. Well, now we have a Christmas tree, right? And we don't even know why we have it, but we're still putting up a dead tree in our house every year.
Yeah.
So the symbolism and what they're able to do to manipulate us is amazing.
Well, it is, and that's kind of how you control the human mind. This is what they learned in the 30s, the 40s, and the 60s, and this is what the old black and occult magicians already knew, is how the mind operates through archetypical controls, through symbolic variations, and how to control information. Information is nothing but representative symbology. That's all communication is. Language and speaking and vibration, these are all just alive symbols. Thoughts are alive symbols. Right? A thought has... Jim, you know, this is a interesting discussion, and I don't want it to take away from the Christmas discussion, but let me ask you this. When a baby is in the womb of the mother, right, what language does it think in? Mm-hmm. Isn't that a good thought?
Yeah.
What language does it think
like
in?
we talk to our dogs in English.
Yeah.
Like we call them German Shepherds or Australian Shepherds.
He's sitting there going, speck in the ice.
Yeah, but then someone's like, oh, no, I speak to him in German. I'm like, why? Why did you learn German to speak to a dog that doesn't know what... They only know gestures and tonation. They don't understand your language. Anyway, but yeah, what do they...
So
to me, then I think it's more energy at that point.
That's right. It's a blank slate.
Right.
The brain is, so either they have a base operating system they get from their mother, from their parent, right? Okay, so they have
the frequency, right? It's what they're.
Well, it would be some type of neurological imprint from the mother that is imprinted on their brain as a base functioning operating system, right? So patterns, lights, shapes, all these things start to make sense because these neurological patternizations are traced over from the mother to the infant.
But when the infant hears something, but then they get the signal from the mother, so they hear this sound, and the mother sends a signal of joy through her body. The baby then feels that as well, right? So then, if the mother is feeling this joy because of this sound, or she's feeling anxious because of the sound, doesn't that imprint that into the child? So then the fight or flight effect of that child is affected by what the mother was thinking or doing during that time. Right,
but you know, how does science actually explain this? Science says that, well, you know what, babies up until the age of about 5 or 6 are just completely receptive. They're not really thinking critically. They don't have this bullshit. They don't. Yeah. Well, I would say that they do.
They have discernment.
Absolutely.
Because they know how to get fed. They know how to get what they want.
They know how to manipulate.
Yeah.
They can think.
Out of the womb, they do.
Yeah.
Out of the womb, they know how to do that.
Yeah. So these babies.
Does every baby cry? Yeah, they all sound about exactly the same coming out of the womb.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that language that we're not picking up on, that they know that to make this noise, they get what they want? I'm not happy. I want back in the water. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they're saying? You smacked me on the ass, and now I'm not happy. Like,
right.
Yeah. So that's a thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've always looked at it as that a baby has a blank slate when it's in the mother's womb. So everything that it's experiencing is something new, but you got to imagine what its inner dialogue is saying to itself.
Right.
Because here's the thing, it has no language.
Doesn't the mother's own consciousness or own thinking, Doesn't that translate? Because she's, I mean, it's all in one.
Maybe,
Same water,
but how does the baby
blood.
even receive it?
Right. But
Right?
it's got to be a certain amount of download. Like okay, if I take a box computer, right? There's got to be something in that disk that knows that it can take on information.
Mm-hmm.
If I put in this command code to this hard drive, it starts dropping the information across the hard drive, right?
Yeah.
How did it know to do that? Because there had to have been something there. Well, no different than the mother downloading or giving that information that they understand certain emotions and things of that nature. The mom has to be giving something. They've done studies that says that, mothers who eat this, and this, the child tends to eat this, and this, right? I mean, that's encoding, right? That's her putting in.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But how does the baby in the womb perceive that?
Right.
When the baby says, "Oh, the mother just ate an apple and the apple tastes good," the baby
You don't know what an apple is.
doesn't know what an apple. The baby doesn't even understand speech, language, doesn't understand tonology, right?
But yet a baby a newborn baby. So okay, I have a deaf daughter. I don't know. She's 30 years old. We did this with all of our kids after her. Infants, we're talking 1, 2 month, 3 month old, can pick up motion and be able to signal back that emotion through signaling, not through verbal.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they already understand gesture before they understand speech? So were they picking up? You see, there's something. I don't know. I'm sure there's something else.
Isn't that crazy though? It's an interesting question to ask.
They don't know language, but they know information. They know how to exchange information.
There it is. That's the key. So, and this goes back to a magical process that we talk about. In the sense, it's called attention intention, of giving attention outwardly and having an inner tension within yourself that has an end state emotion that derives emotion outwardly to what you're giving attention to, and that this information is encoded naturally within the different archetypes of mind within our DNA and these stuff. And so this goes back to exactly why they want to control holidays, rituals, and all these things. Guys, Christmas is nothing more than a ritual. That's what Christmas is, a ritual.
It's a pattern.
Yeah.
This is what we do at this time of year, and this is how we do it.
That's right. And they control it. If you don't believe me that they control it, I want you to go upstairs right now to your Christmas tree and look at every single box that's underneath
Coming out the front door.
Look at every single box that's underneath it. Then I want you to look at all the ornaments on that tree, and then look at that tree and ask yourself, why do we have a tree? They didn't have evergreen trees in the Middle East. Jesus wasn't born next to an evergreen tree. There was none of them in the Garden of Eden.
Unless you go to a Christmas tree farm, cut it down yourself.
Right.
All Christmas trees are just the top of a tree, by the way.
Yep.
They don't go in and cut these things out of the forest for you. They're cutting the very top of the tree off. That's the most suitable for you to have a Christmas tree, by the way. I don't know if people do that or not. But yeah, there's Christmas tree farms, but most of it's done just by topping trees. Anyway,
yeah.
So it's like, but we're trained to do what? Do a certain pattern a certain way to get a certain outcome.
Yeah.
So all you are is an algorithm. Ugh. God, that cheese
Well, and this is the thing is
sorry.
If you're a Christian out there, right? This is the last holiday you should be freaking celebrating. Because there's nothing Christian about this holiday. All they did is they took the story of Jesus and they threw it into a whole bunch of pagan rituals and said, "Here it is. Celebrate it. Buy stuff. Love each other."
It's a smoothie. You have all the traditions of history into a big smoothie.
That's it. It's one big hodgepodge of ritual. It is Bacchanalia, it is Saturnalia, it is Yuletide, it is the shamanistic traditions of the pagans, it is the winter solstice, it is the transit of Saturnalia. Now this is interesting. I watched a PhD college professor sit there and give a 3-hour presentation on a Saturnalia. And Jim, this guy was wrong. He had no clue what he was talking about.
But the problem is by his credentials, everybody followed him down that trail.
That's right. So
they'll mimic that in their own life or their own history, right?
So Saturnalia. So Saturn, Grim Reaper, by the way, guys. Grim Reaper. Saturn is the Grim Reaper. Chronos, time. Okay?
Chronos. By the way, guys, pay attention. Avengers. We're talking about the Avengers.
Right.
Every movie is a documentary.
Also, old man Odin. He's also the new birth of we go into Zeus and the whole new variations of this. He gives birth to his daughters, right? Athena, the Athenian worship, the one who occulted that, right? This whole thing comes out of it. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's like it's all right there, guys.
Yeah,
Greek mythology, Catholicism, it all falls into the same exact stuff. It's
so Saturn rules over time and agriculture. Okay, so Saturnalia was a 12-day festival, okay? And they say that the festival is derived for fertility. But no, the festival was derived for the death of the literal sun and the praise that we give for the sun of that year as it dies, and we give praise for the harvest that we just got from it.
And there's the new sun, which is the December
25th. Yeah. And we give it praise for 12 days so that on the 13th day it will be reborn and come back to us and give us another harvest the next year. That's Saturnalia. And you know, one of the ways, Jim, that they did this
I'm reading some of the comments, by the way, on the YouTube here. So your fans are they're trying to egg you on to
give me the sing.
Yeah. Sorry.
I might. We'll see.
Break into harmony. Let's see.
No, Saturnalia is the basic tradition of what we have today. But here's the thing: is when it came to bad harvests, what they would do is they would sacrifice animals, lambs, goats, to Saturn. Okay?
Yeah, don't pay attention to that. That's fine.
Well,
I know I'm being facetious.
I know you are.
Yeah, it's like golly, guys. I mean, it's not that hard to put all this together.
Well, but why would they sacrifice? Because the sun was sacrificing itself for the rebirth of the next harvest. So the sun dies on the cross on December 24th, re-risen 3 days later, or December 21st, re-raises 3 days later. It's rebirth, right? And this was this great sacrifice. And so sometimes what they would do is if they had a bad harvest, they say, hey, the sun wasn't happy with us last year. So we have to sacrifice something for the sun so that it will sacrifice itself for us next harvest. And this is where ritualistic sacrifice came in. And this even came to the point of sacrificing human beings, okay? Because this was the purification of innocence, the higher power, the higher derivation of power. And this also comes from the inversion factor of what Saturn represents. So there's two parts of Saturn. So Krampus, as we talked about, and Odin are both representative of Saturn. They're both the judging ones, the domineer, and they go out there and they would treat you poorly if you did bad in your life. Now, Saturn, okay, is the modern day Satan. This is where we get the whole derivation of Satan from. Now, I was talking.
This is the mirror effect, though, you talk about, right?
Well,
everything is mirrored.
It's inversion, so, you know, think about this: is Saturn represents time. What's the inversion of time? No time. Right? That's death, destruction. The inversion of life is death. So everything is inverted in Saturn worship. Why? Because Saturn actually does this pattern in the sky. And it's a very, very interesting pattern. Now, one of these things that they call is called the squaring of Uranus. The squaring of your ass.
Sorry, the 12-year-old me just started giggling. I'm sorry.
Right. But Saturn actually forms this square pattern in the sky over a series of many, many years. It has a 658-year orbit, but it forms a square in the sky. Now, the square in the sky is something that we know in Hermeticism as squaring the circle, which is the purification of the spirit. But when Saturn does it around the sun, this is the inversive factor of it. So it's the alchemical marriage of the inversive factor of the spiritual growth, which would be spiritual de-evolution. Now, This is representative of where the Mason square comes from, which represents a state of ignorance. Spiritual de-evolution, a square, is a state of ignorance. It's living within the 4 points of the material life. Now, a college graduate puts a square upon his head because he's an initiate into the higher degrees, and he's ignorant to those higher degrees, and he wears it on top of his head in his crown chakra. Okay? This is why judges wear black robes, as you talked about there, in the British legal system, because they are servants to the higher mysteries, because they are ignorant to the higher states of law. They only develop within man law, and that's the only domain that they rule over is the physical man law.
Right. Well, do you know that the Supreme Court of America, and I say in America because we need to differentiate that. Do you know that they actually work under black law? Black laws. They don't work under the. See, that's the amazing part is the Buddhist actually works under Black Law's dictionary, the original version, where all law or court of administration is done under British authority. Guys, we don't even realize how screwed we are, and the symbolism, and it's right there, and these answers are here, and we're not paying attention to them. This goes back. I mean, we go through Greek mythology. We go through the universal commercial code. We go through the birthing process. We go into, and then you start seeing the ties to all this. And when I say that it's a very lazy process, it's not. It's just because it's nothing. They're all intertwined. They're all interrelated, and they have done this to us in a way, and they just do little touches. And that's why I told you guys about the establishment that came in and touched the things in my life. It wasn't one person that just like, bam, get his ass in jail. You know, authority by me, I'm gonna write this out. It was the little touches. It was the judge and the other judge covering for that judge, and then this guy do this, and this guy does this. And it's the same way with our history. And they write these children's books, and they write these things out there to get us distracted from what they're really doing, where they're blending and making the big puree of religions and festivals and timelines and all that, and then we don't realize we're so far off course. And when we say, hey, you need to do a course correction, we're not doing a little to get back on. It's completely the other direction. It's really a mess. So we've got to wake up to this, and that's the sad part of this, is there's so much of this that we've given over so much to idiots. These guys they're not any better than we are. We've given them the power to say that they are powerful.
Yep.
Subjugation, you giving your power over to you're giving your power. By the way, the UCC, the Universal Commercial Code, says that you take your own power back, you take your own person back, you become a free man, that you don't have to listen to them. You literally, a police officer pulls you over, you're like, yeah, you pull over, and you're like, I'm not expecting any contracts today. That's it. You walk away from this.
Well, but what happens when that cop's ignorant, right? What happens when that cop doesn't care?
But that's why you had to do your paperwork, right? So you give him your ID. By the way, you don't have it. By the way, guys, listen to me.
Is it an international driver's license?
No, it's you'll be a state identification. But listen to this. You do not need a license to travel anywhere in America, because when you are traveling, you do not need identification. You don't need a driver's license because you're not committing commerce. Again, Universal Commercial Code says that you are not committing commerce by traveling to your job or traveling to the store or traveling to Nana's house. When you are traveling, they cannot ticket you. They cannot ask you for your identification. They cannot ask you for your insurance. They cannot ask you to register your vehicle because you're not committing commerce in that vehicle. But we have given over to them, just no different than the IRS does not exist under in 1913. That was never ratified under the Convention of States. 2 states did not ratify the federal income tax. But the Secretary of State at that time got up in front of the press and said, oh, we've ratified this. We now have federal income tax. It was never a real thing. You can look it up, and there is nothing in the IRS code that says that you pay federal income tax. But they've gotten away with it because you give yourself over to them.
Right.
If you give yourself over to me and I am now your God, that is your choice. If you listen to everything I say and you now, Jim Price is my sun and my moon and he's my salvation, then you give that power over to me, and now I have that power to lord over you. That's what we've done with the IRS. That's what we've done with these judges. That's what we've done with these things, and we don't have to. But yet, our own SCOTUS, our own Supreme Court works under Black's law, not under British Extension of Authority or our associated lawyers. They don't work under the same law.
Nope.
And that's in our own country right here. And that's why I'm telling you guys, when we think about how the histories of our holidays, the Easter egg, the Easter bunny, the tree, the Norse gods, the Thor, when I tell you guys that everything was a documentary, every movie's a documentary, when you start thinking that way, you will start realizing that they've been telling you the truth, but you thought it was just fairy tales.
I like it, too, that it's everything is a documentary. It's interesting when you think about it like that. And actually what you're just talking about there, the Supreme Court operates under Black's law, which is common law, is actually protected under the 7th Amendment. In suits of common law where the value of controversy shall exceed $20, the right of the trial by jury shall be preserved. Or actually, no, it's, no, according to the, which one is it? Is it the 9th? It's one of these is the common law amendment. It should be the 7th. Maybe I'm just looking at it a little bit differently. But basically it says that all courts in the United States have to be set up as common law courts. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why do we have penal codes? Why do we have U.S. codes, a codification of laws? And this is because
words have meaning, folks.
Words have meaning.
Listen to me. Words, and you want to say symbolism?
Yep.
What are words other than symbols of explanation?
That's right.
They're symbols. So if you put your emphasis on a certain word, that's why when they tell you, oh, democracy is going to be destroyed if we continue down this path. Democracy will be destroyed. You've heard Biden and Kamala Harris and all this say this 1,000 times. Oh,
it's a republic.
Right.
It's a constitutional republic. Now,
because they're going to lose a democracy if we go back to a republic.
So Jim, think about this for a second. So, a constitutional republic is a form of government, is constituted by our founding fathers. That is the form of government we have. That form of government does not change. Okay? Now, socialism is an economic system.
Right.
Communism is a form of government. When you have democratic socialists, this is a form of economic representation of political systems. So, well, guess what? As per the United States Constitution, socialism and communism is outlawed.
If you guys look and read your Bill of Rights for your individual states, do this for me. Just go to your individual state where you're at. All 50 states have this exact verbiage. Now, some have a little bit of variation, but there's I think about 40 of them that have this exact verbiage. It's usually in your Bill of Rights, it's the second article. It says, all political power is inherent in the people.
I'm gonna read you Colorado. Colorado's
all free governments are founded on their power. I mean, it's literally that's it. Oh, by the way, in Virginia's constitution, in their state constitution, by the way, let me give you another quick lesson. Virginia's state constitution says that you are required to own a gun and be proficient with it in Virginia. But here's the thing. You guys, let me give you one lesson about the Constitution. All state constitutions are reciprocal one to another, meaning that whatever your state says, my state, they're the same. I get the same rights, and we get to have this big pool, right, of what limits our governments. But the federal Constitution upholds state governments or state constitutions. Every state has its constitution that supersedes the federal government. Lincoln put us into the Federalist model, which flipped us to think that the federal constitution is over the state constitution, and that's a lie. All state constitutions are reciprocal to each other, and the federal holds them up. That's it.
Yep.
And the federal one only states that they are there for immigration and national security. Everything else is illegal. There should be nothing else. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to read you this because this is when I started realizing, obviously, state constitutions have precedence over federal constitution.
Yep.
Article 2, Section 2 of the Colorado State Constitution. Listen to how this is worded. The people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided such change be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States.
Amen. Preach it, brother.
Look at that. Look at that.
I mean,
It's telling you
that
you are a
makes sense.
sovereign, independent state.
Yeah, go to the Bill of Rights. Read the Bill of Rights. Your Bill of Rights. It's usually right above that, and you will see there's about 20 articles that goes in there and says, "Government, stay out of these people's way." These people get. Oh, by the way, in California, in their Bill of Rights, it says that a marriage is between a man and a woman, and to ratify their constitution, it has to be by 2/3 of eligible voters have to vote to ratify. In 2009 or 2010, like that, they did an amendment vote. Well, it was only voted on by about 20% of the eligible voters, and it only won by a 51% margin.
So
well,
they have
first of all,
2/3.
it has to be 2/3 of eligible voters, and it was never ratified. But they said, "Oh, it's law." Does this sound familiar? Well, if they just tell you it's law, if they just tell you the IRS exists, if they tell you, oh, well, you better subjugate yourself to it, right? Give in to that power, because words have meanings. And if they manipulate the words and they manipulate the definition, that's why they keep moving the dictionary around. You've noticed that too? Why do words keep changing meanings? Why? Why do we keep inventing new words? Snowflake now has a new definition as being someone who gets offended by everything.
Oh, God. Well, you know,
I'm offended. Get over it, bro. I don't give a shit.
and people might be wondering, like, you know, what does this all have to do with Christmas? Well, you have to understand is that the holidays are utilized to control and manipulate you. It doesn't mean that, you know, baby Jesus, you know, we're not celebrating baby Jesus. Yeah, you are celebrating the birth of baby Jesus, but all that's March 25th. Although that the holiday and the traditions that you're utilizing today, 90% of them have nothing to do with Jesus. Seriously, none of this stuff has anything to do with Jesus. Has nothing to do with Judaism or the Jewish religion in the sense of what they celebrate Hanukkah. Okay? So you have to understand that.
But also, by the way, guys, how did they just happen to have like European names in the Bible?
Oh, well, John,
like
Paul,
James and Matthew,
Simon.
But they're from the Middle East. I don't know a lot of Johns and Pauls coming out of like. Sorry. Anyway, I don't mean to smack people in the face with it, but I mean, it's really.
Dude flies in from Saudi Arabia. What's your name? Paul.
John.
John.
John. What do you mean?
I said that. I said that to somebody in at an event,
right?
And they wanted to slap me.
Yeah.
And
because
see, that's the
I mean, it does hurt because that's their mental history. You're just going in there and doing the eraser on their history. They're like, that hurts. Yeah. So okay, let me give you why this is a real statement. If you have a loss, that's okay. Let's say your wife pulls out in front of and she dies today. The problem is your mental future, as well as your mental past, are instantly affected by the loss of that individual.
Yep.
And so your mind has already put them into the future, no different than you putting John and Matthew and Jesus, those names into your mental future of what's in the Bible, and those are real names. Your mind has put that into the future because, okay, it's
John, Paul, Matthew, and Luke, the 4 seasons.
So, right, but we've put that in our mental future. So now if I told you that those names are not real, and all of a sudden you have to go out and you have to pull that back from your mental future and also your mental past. That's why when we have loss, we go through the different effects of loss, right? The negotiation, the anger, the crying, the depression. You go through those. Well, that's no different than me telling you suddenly, by the way, this doesn't make sense. So now you have to go back and rewrite. And so that's why I call the mental cramp.
Right.
Because you're having to rewrite a lot of things. Now, my wife didn't die today. And okay, so wait, but you tell me that, tell me that we have trees in our house that are from God traditions of evergreens, but then they were rolling reefs down the hill that were catching them on fire because it was the new sun. But what was the new sun? With the Son of God? And then, so do you see and so people, when you go and you're thinking of this stuff, and sometimes it's a little hard, you're like, oh, okay, these guys are way out there. I don't want to accept this. It's because we're changing things. You're rewriting your mental history as well as your mental future. And that's what psychology will teach you all the time, is that's why a loss of somebody instantly. Now, if you know someone's dying of cancer or old age, you start accepting things, right? Well, Nana may not make it to Christmas. And so you kind of take it away, right? You start pulling it back. And so the loss of them becomes, man, I really miss her. I wish she was here. But it wasn't an instantaneous car accident or something tragic to that effect. So you're not as affected by it as emotionally. And this is no different than when you're talking about things of religion or tradition or Christmas or Easter or the universal commercial code of your life. I mean, when you start doing that, it does affect you. It's going to hurt.
Yep.
And then you have to accept that. You know, that the final step of grief is accepting, right? And so this is what you have to do.
Same thing with truth. Truth goes through 3 stages, right? First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently imposed, and third, it's accepted as self-evident. And that's the life. That's the life we live.
And then you give it. You're taking away the power of this object, and now you're going to refocus that power or your energy to this object, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to use different words, and again, words have meanings. And just like you were talking about the 4 seasons, or the 4, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and then you say King James version, and then you go back to the inspired version, and then you go back to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then
the Nag Hammadi and the Apocrypha, and then you get the canonized and the non-canonized.
I'm not there, guys. I'm still doing this. I'm still going. Sure, Josh, but not Josh is not on this doing this. I'm doing this to myself. I've been on a journey with these things, and it's a grind, because I don't want to give up on some of this stuff. Why? Because it's comfy. Mm-hmm. I grew up in it. I grew up in this cage, and I built this little mental cage, this mental jail cell for myself. And if I start knocking these walls down, then I might have to think for myself.
And that's freedom.
What? But I'm a free thinker.
But that's personal responsibility when you start thinking for yourself. Personal responsibility derives self-discipline.
If the government's wrong and it doesn't go right, then it was their fault, not my fault.
Oh, that's right. And if it's their fault, I will just be the victim to it, and I will hopefully that people have sympathy for me.
I got to adjust because they screwed up. They're the screw-ups, not me. I can't be a screw-up.
Well, and now think about forgiveness. Think about sacrifice and salvation and what this holiday is meant or derived to represent. It's representing the son's sacrifice to be rebirthed again, but the sacrifice so you can live and have more life and more time, right? And think about how they misconstrue that and screw you up in many different ways about it, right? I mean, in a sense that Jesus' life was the perfect story that fit into this narrative of control.
But then what if I drop this on you? Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you that Judas was the one that was hung on the cross and Jesus denied being who he was?
Interesting. Tell me about it.
And I don't have enough information, but just think about that. When we think about the mirror effect, right?
Yeah.
We talk about it when we've talked about. I call it the mirror effect, or the transverse
inversion.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you say, well, what's the exact opposite? If Judas was the one who denied Christ, or turned him in, was a betrayer. What if it was actually he betrayed Jesus, but what if actually Jesus denied who he was, and then instead of Judas being the one Jesus in, he was the one who was hung on the cross? See, the problem is that if we do inversion, we do that opposite effect, and this is what guys, listen to. Okay, let me simulate this with your today's experience. Okay, first, let me go back to something that is obviously a hot button for me, because I wasn't a big pot guy until they accused me of pot, and then I learned about what pot really is. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not understanding what pot really is, then you don't understand science. You got to look at what's really going on. If the government's telling you not to do it, okay, they tell you smoking cigarettes is fine and drinking alcohol is fine, you need to do the exact opposite of that. Mm-hmm. Just go that way. But here, let me give you one thing. The Dust Bowl of Kansas, okay, in Kansas, if you look at the exact timeline when they created the Schedule 1 of cannabis or hemp, so they encapsulated everything. They got rid of cannabis and hemp, which all sailing boats and ropes and sails on sailing boats were hemp, because cotton could not handle the seawater, but hemp could.
Right. So
you guys understand that. So what happened?
All paper, by the way, pre-1920 was hemp. And Absolutely. Then William Hirsch cornered the lumber market in the Northeast, had cellulose.
Propaganda.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So what happened with the Dust Bowl? If you look at the timeline with why we had the Dust Bowl, when we went from the number one cash crop for Kansas was hemp, and we were growing three crops a year, and people were making very good money in Kansas, growing hemp. It was an amazing cash crop for Kansas. But when you tell them that one day, boom, the crops you've been growing 3 times a year and harvesting, and your equipment and your farm and your storage and your supply chain is everything is wrapped around hemp, and you tell them today you can no longer do that, well, now those fields sit empty because I don't have a planter for corn. I don't have a planter for wheat. I don't have a planter for soybean or milo or any sorghum. I don't have that. So I have to go out and reinvest. Well, now suddenly all my cash was being made in this. Now all of a sudden you took that away. Well, I don't have money to go buy new planters. I don't have new harvesters. I don't have, so these fields sit empty. And the reason that we had the Dust Bowl was, yes, they were heavy plowing, but at the same time, you took away what was the cash crop or what was holding the dirt in place, which was hemp.
Yeah.
See, the thing is we created our own tragedies. We create our own stuff, and then we should be, like I said, we should look the exact opposite.
We didn't create it. They created it, but we allow it to happen.
But because they wanted to create more pulp. See, where that came with Hearst was that the tree industry had this crap left over.
Yep.
Okay, well, they were logging, the cellulose. So they were logging and they were making their poles and 2x4s. And I'm a construction guy. I'm an engineer. And so you're making all this huge lumber, beams, and all this really cool stuff, but you have all this leftover. Well, what do you do with it? Well, that's what they were making. They found that they can make paper with the pulp. So the problem is that, well, I need to sell this junk. I want to make money off my waste. Well, how do I get rid of that? Well, if I demonize this product with a bunch of Midwesterners I don't give 2 craps about in Kansas, and I make this my thing, I own all these lumber yards, I own all this forestry, I own all this paper. How do I get to move everything to that direction? I'm gonna make more money, no different than Standard Oil. How do you get everybody to quit making moonshine or alcohol home to run their automobiles with? You drive them to petroleum by sponsoring Molly Hatchet. Molly Hatchet runs around and says, oh, no alcohol, no alcohol. Boom, you shut down alcohol for 3 years, but when it comes back, no home steals. Here comes the new, remember now ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms? Well, as alcohol in the beginning. You couldn't have a home steal. All Ford vehicles were Bioflex. They could run on pure alcohol or petroleum. Well, how do you drive everybody to petroleum? By they could not no longer make alcohol at home out of grass and hay and leaves. By the way, you can make alcohol out of all that stuff and DMT. But if we follow these things, we can realize how stupid we've been, and most of it was because of a bunch of money-hungry creeps.
Yeah,
it was all money.
The same robber barons that Santa Claus is modeled after, and this is why Santa Claus is modeled after these robber baron elites. Because guess what? He's the one that is like Robin Hood, who's giving to the poor just a little bit of what he's already taken.
Oh, thank you, sir. May I have another?
That's it. Big old fat dude. He's eating well up there, and you're gonna leave.
And he's got a bunch of elves that hang out with him.
Yeah.
What kind of hallucinogenics are you on, man? Like, so what was happening, bro? And I'm not. Hey, I'm a big. Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. By the way, the doctors, the show, the midday doctors, they did an entire episode on psilocybin mushrooms.
Oh, yeah?
How it helps with PTSD, how it's helping people with depression, microdosing, and basically going in and taking a small, we're talking about 1 gram of psilocybin in the morning, and it actually helps you go in and process things in your own brain. I mean, it really, they an entire episode of this. They're mainstreaming this now, talking about the benefits of these things. But again, it's all hippy dippy stuff. The sad part of it is, guys, is the zinc, like I was talking about with my hand here. So I took the Band-Aid off. It's actually, you can see that there's the cut here, but it's half the size it was a week and 4 days ago. Half the size, because I'm putting zinc on it. But they're not going to tell you to do that. Oh, I need to get stitches. I need to get antibiotics. I need to do all this stuff. Well, the antibiotics kills all the floral in your gut. Well, where does your health come from? The floral in your gut. If they kill all that off, you're going to get sick from something else. Guys, the answers have always been right in front of us. And this is going back, and all this ties into Christmas. It ties into the fiat currency. It ties into our religion. They're touching guys, if I said that some dude was touching your grandma or your daughter or your wife or your kids, you'd be pissed. Don't you touch my kids. Don't you do that. Throw that guy in jail. But these guys are touching your lives intimately.
Yep.
And affecting your emotions intimately. And you're like, well, it's Christmas, man.
It's the invisible forces, man.
It's those it's the establishment, that little touch.
That's right. and we lay ignorant to those invisible forces which guide humanity
Ignorance
forward.
is not a defense. Ignorance is not a defense, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they tell us.
Crazy.
Yeah. Words have meanings, though, right?
Yep, they do. Man.
It's exhausting to think that we've actually been manipulated so easily. But again, we grew up with this, right, Josh? I mean, even though as unstable as my childhood was with the jumping around and, all that stuff, I still knew what Christmas was. I still knew what Easter was. I still expected a basket on Easter morning. Why would I think that a grass-filled basket full of candies and eggs that were laid there by a bunny rabbit that was imaginary somehow symbolizes the crucifixion and the rising of the grave of Jesus?
Because it doesn't. See, that's the problem.
But I go to church on Easter Sunday though, in my Sunday best.
Well, so Easter. Let's break the word down, Jim.
Right.
Let's break the word down.
I know where you're going.
Say it very slowly. East star. East star. The star in the
Words have
east.
meanings.
So, what star rises in the morning right before the sun in the east during the spring equinox?
Tell 'em.
Venus. Venus is also known as Ayana, also known as Ishtar, the whore of Babylon, if you want to talk about it. Ishtar is where you get the word east star. The eastern star is Ish star. Istara, Ostara, right? All these derive from this one primordial goddess. She's the goddess of fertility, the goddess of rebirth, of resurrection, of the generative factor. Now, it's said that Ayana, or Ishtar, came to Earth from the moon. And she traveled here in an egg and appeared to man first as a rabbit.
I thought that's what Mork and Mindy did. Did he travel here in an egg?
Isn't that interesting?
Nanu.
And didn't he always want to? Didn't he always want to? Didn't he always want to screw?
Yeah.
The generative factor.
He was horny.
He was. Ishtar. And so Ishtar, Ayana, whoever you want to call her, Venus, Aphrodite, right? Mm-hmm. When we start looking into her, this is Easter. This is the rebirth of the sun, the regenerative creative force of nature. So it's interesting because if you ever notice, like, the sun in the sky is always representative in solar deities as a masculine energy. It's never represented as a female energy.
Right.
And so the reason is because it puts out actual heat. It puts out actually something that can be physically detected. It's not an invisible force, but it marries that with the female powers, the generative factor of the earth. So when the masculine protrudes or projects or penetrates into the earth produces life. Okay, this is the female generative factor. Now, what's interesting is there's multiple variations of this in the sense of correspondence and natural law and how these all work. Now, I've always talked about this female cult that rules and dominates, and why would they always symbolize everything through the solar deities? Well, here's the thing, is did you know that we actually have galactic deities? And the galaxy itself is a female generative force that operates, because it is that female generative force that gives life to the masculine force of our sun, and the masculine force of our sun gives birth to the female generative factor of our planet. And this is why we have multiple different zodiacs. This is why we have a female 6 symbolic zodiac, which was representative of the Arctic Circle and stuff like that.
Remember the Tom Hanks movie? What was the Tom Hanks movie?
A Cloud Atlas? I know which one you're talking about. Novels, Brown novels.
Brown.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, that I guess when I tell you all movies are documentary, think about that right there. That they were saying that the woman was the one that they were holding up. They were worshiping the woman in those. You see how that works? See, again, this is where I think, guys, I think so many of the answers they've been telling it to us because they can't. Okay. Who was explaining to me? I think it was who was it? Who was it that was explaining this to me? That literally, Biden's told you that he has the most. He wasn't doing a gaffe on his dementia when he said they had developed the most extensive cheating or election cheating process ever known to man.
Yeah.
He was what he was doing is by him telling you that's what he was doing, you can't charge him with a crime because he told you what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Because you didn't stop him, that's your fault. Like, that's what they do. Just like 3 or 4 days before the election, Bernie Sanders got on Jimmy Kimmel and said, oh, by the way, there's going to be this, and this in this state. And in the middle of the night, they're going to stop the elections. And then you're going to see a new president be announced in the morning. Trump will think he went to bed being the president, but the next morning it will be someone else.
Yep.
He told you what they were going to do. He told you how to steal, and you can't charge them with the crime because they told you what the crime was going to be. And that there's a law out there basically by saying that this is what my crime is.
Well,
you can't charge me
so
with the crime.
in natural law is you can't go against natural law or there's karmic infliction. So what you have to do is you have to put people into a state of ignorance or tell them exactly what you're going to do. And Satanists tell you exactly what they're going to do. Or people of evil black magicians, yeah, they tell you exactly what they're going to do. Now, I wanted to touch on something real here, and then we have to we can shut this down. Someone said Tanette Booth said Sun equals Saturn originally. There's many different theories to this, and especially in occultism. There's the Velikovsky stuff that there was electrical storms in the sky, and Jupiter and Saturn shared electrical charges with the sun, and they competed for the brilliance of the sun's light in the day sky because of electrical discharges, CMEs, these types of things. But traditionally in occultism, the sun equals the sun, and the inversion of the sun equals Saturn. So the black sun, the inversion of our sun, equals Saturn. This is why you have the light sun, Jesus, and the black sun, Saturn. And this is why for 40 days and 40 nights, up until Easter, they dance in the desert. Because if you watch, Saturn is actually leading. So Saturn rises right before the sunrise every morning up until the spring equinox.
Oh.
This is the dance in the desert. And so this is why he was known as the Black Sun, because he was always ahead of Jesus, and then Jesus, the sun, overtakes Saturn because obviously the sun goes in front, right? Because Saturn's rotating in the opposite direction. And the sun takes over, and this is why light comes over darkness. And this is this whole story of generation that comes about. So this is how the story of the Black Sun derives. And this is why the whole story of Jesus, 40 days, 40 nights.
But everything is right there. I mean, they've been telling us, and they've been showing us, but we glaze right past it because they're distracting us with the shiny objects. But what's the greatest thing that they ever did to keep us distracted was creating fiat currency.
Well,
because
the greatest thing they ever did, Jim, was telling us that they can control the information. Was producing a system of authority over us is the greatest thing they ever did. And making us believe that shit.
Yeah. They manipulate time. They manipulate your history. They manipulate your mind. They manipulate your food. They manipulate your air.
It's almost like they're not human.
But see, that's what I don't understand. Okay, let me ask you this. This is another thing I came up with. I need to know what the antidote is that they took, because here's the thing. They live on the same marble, right? Whatever you want to call this,
sure.
Right? They live on the same firma we're on. What is the antidote? What did they all take? Because if they're doing the same aerosol effect in the air, if they're doing the same crap in the food, they're trying to do this with the mRNA stuff. They're doing where they're talking about if someone gets the shot, then they can actually shed certain things. What are they taking that is the antidote to what we are getting? There's always an antidote. They always have a way out. So what have they been taking? Now, is it because I'm taking zinc and I'm on iodine and I'm doing my alkaline water and I'm doing ivermectin and some other things? So is that the antidote, or do they have the antidote? There's always an antidote. Mm-hmm. No matter what they've done, there's an antidote. So Fauci or whatever it is, there is an antidote they've all taken. Those elitists that they have, or what is the... Are we doing our best to stay away from it by doing the zinc and things like that?
A lot of people think it was just ivermectin because ivermectin was what Congress was treated with. Right?
Yeah.
Or who knows? Maybe it's just they're completely immune to it. Maybe they've put the real gene therapy into themselves, and they don't even have to worry about it.
Well, HCQ guys, and HCQ. Let me give you a quick history on this. HCQ was quinine, which is quinine was they during the Panama Canal. They went in and basically got the chemical makeup of quinine, put it into a pill form, and then it was revamped in the Vietnam and Korean War to create what we know now as HCQ. I've always said on my show for 2 years now, I have said that HCQ is the cure to AIDS, it's the cure to cancer, it is a cure to everything we have because it's an antiviral. It slows down the viruses and allows your body to take over. Every cancer is a virus. It's an abnormal cell in your body. And then ivermectin is an anti-parasitical, but also that they'll talk about most of the things you have, arthritis and dementia, is from parasites. So if you're on HCQ and you're doing ivermectin, I think you're done. I think you've got the answer. I'm on ivermectin. I take it on it's my Sunday pill. So I don't know, guys. I think so many of the answers have been right in front of us. I just think we're running past it. I don't know why.
I'm with you, Jim. I'm with you, man. And that's the truth is we stay in a state of ignorance because we believe the authorities that we have granted and given our power to are going to take care of us.
Right. And how foolish we are. Because because the Bible tells you and God says, that's not who you count on.
Nope.
Where does he tell you? Look to him.
Look to him.
Why? So did you pick science or did you pick God? Did you get the old in the arm or did you look to him and what he gives you? If zinc is the zinc aurora or the explosion or the igniting it happens when the egg is fertilized, then what is it? What are you talking about zinc? Hey, men, guys, listen. If you put zinc in your diet, you put lead back in your pencil. Just telling you, zinc is really, really great for men. Just telling you. I mean, I'm 50 and I have to know this stuff. But it's the world we live in. If the answers are right there. Iodine, Lugol's iodine. Start taking Lugol as iodine, guys. Period. You want to put your thyroid back in place.
What's it called? Luke what?
Lugol's.
Lugol's.
Lugol's. Lugol's iodine. You start out with 3 drops a day in some water and double that until you get to about 1.5 milliliters a day.
Yeah, probably not wise to tell me treatments on minerals. I fuck it up. They all know out there. I almost
Lugol's iodine. I
almost died. So
really?
I did. I took too much magnesium.
Oh, that'll give you the craps, man.
Well, that was the whole point. And instead, I got irregular heartbeat and tachycardia and day in and day out, plus loss of memory.
Everything in moderation is good for you.
Yeah, I screwed
but
that
iodine, we have depleted 500% of the iodine we used to get out of our foods. That's why you should look to wild game liver. Guys, listen to me. Go to your local butcher, your local meat locker, the guy who processes elk or deer or lamb or cows. There's a processor nearby you, and they will give you wild game liver because a lot of guys don't eat it. But wild game liver is huge. You want to put your mind back on? Start getting the wild game liver, the spleen, the heart. Guys, we are missing so much by not getting those nutrients out of those animals that God gave us.
That's right.
And I know that it sounds gross and weird, but I was talking to some people who have food dehydrators. Not dehydrators, but the freeze drying.
Yeah.
I was like, if you could cube up, wild game liver and then food dehydrate that, or not dehydrate, sorry, freeze dry it, and then take that, and then because it becomes very crumbly at that point, right? Mm-hmm. You can put those into pills, and then people could just take in pill form and ingest wild liver without having to actually eat the liver.
Wow,
they could just take it by pill form. I think that would be brilliant.
That's actually great. I got a whole bunch of calf livers upstairs, and
freeze dry wild game liver. And then then you could just basically crumble that up, use it like a coffee grinder, and then encapsulate the liver into a pill and take a couple pills a day.
Yep.
Joe Rogan talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
That's one of his big things is wild game liver. But anyway, so Josh, this has been fun, dude.
Jim, this is awesome, man. Merry Christmas to you. I can't wait to have you back on. I think we're gonna do another one with a few more hours.
I know we jumped around, but it's so interconnected, guys.
Yeah.
This is all the same. I mean, you want to talk about religion, but then it's about Christmas, and it's also about your medical, and it's about, if it says AMA on it, walk away from it.
It's about a system of control, guys. It's all about controlling you, your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, and your freedom. And if we can make you say, hey, I'm going to give my freedom to somebody else, guess what? You're a slave. And that's why... Yep.
The masks are controlled by fear. The masks, they're controlling you. It's a sexual pervertity in their mind that they see you put a mask on. It brings them sexual pleasure. So go ahead and put that mask on. Go ahead, because it brings them pleasure. To watch an entire society put a mask on is literally a sadistic form of slavery. Did you know that, okay, that girl that was up in Utah or Idaho, where she was, the guy kidnapped her when she was 12 and then had kids with her, but they lived like 2 miles from her own home?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he took her to the store. He took her to the restaurants, and all it was is that she kept her little face covering on, and nobody knew who she was. Again, guys, this is how they traffic kids. This is how they traffic humans, and it brings them perverted pleasures to watch you subjugate yourself in their way. I mean, okay, but remember, was that Eyes Wide Open?
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. Guys, listen, the movies are documentaries. I'm telling you right now. Anyway. Josh, thank you so much for having me on here, dude. I really appreciate our time.
I appreciate it, Jim. We can find you at the JimPriceShow.com. He's got his daily update coming it's Monday through Friday, right? Yeah,
I do Monday through Friday, and I do publish out some of my interviews here and there that are extras, different times. But Cloud Hub, YouTube, YouTube's got me banned again or whatever. I can't publish there. But Facebook, Twitter, DLive, Twitch. And Cloud Hub is the big one, guys. I'm telling you guys, Cloud Hub, CLOUTHUB. Cloud Hub, you can do whatever you want over there.
Yeah.
Jeff Brain is really a cool guy, and he's all about freedom over there. So.
Yep, and we're getting, I think we get about 500 to 600 views an episode on Cloud Hub right now.
And I'm actually, awesome. My numbers are way up. I'm getting the same thing, 300 to 600. And it's like, man, this is great. But like I said, Jeff Brain's been a really cool guy.
Yep, they got an app, really easy to use as well.
Oh, and the player, if you close the app, the player stays up there, so you can go to do other things and still be able to watch the video or hear the video on your phone and stuff. So it's and you don't have to even have an account to be able to look on Cloud Hub.
Yeah, and guys, don't run off. We still got the raffle, so don't run off.
Oh, wait, raffle.
Yeah,
raffle.
we're doing a raffle here in a few minutes. So
I'm getting a bicycle. What?
Yeah. But Jim, thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated. I can't wait to have you back on. Guys, we're going to go to a 1-minute commercial. We'll be right back with the result of the Christmas raffle. Jim Price, everybody.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey guys, Josh here with the Redpill Project. I wanted to talk to you about My Patriot Supply. They're the #1 preparedness survival company in the United States of America. And they have everything that you're going to need in the advent of a natural disaster, a cataclysm, or whatever the heck might happen. Listen, Sleepy Joe and his commie cronies in Washington, D.C., they're doing some pretty crazy stuff. We don't know what they're going to do next. The global elite, they've thrown this world into a state of chaos. From the pandemic to the vaccine to who knows what's going to happen next. Anything from the global economic collapse, supply chain disruptions to food chain shortages. We're seeing it all, and we know something is coming. With the holidays coming about, I want to be prepared in case something does happen so I can take care of my family. And I know you feel the same way. This is why I use My Patriot Supply. And guess what? They got everything that you need, from Alexa Pure water purification to survival gear to long-term food storage that can last up to 25 years in your pantry. If you want to go check them out, please visit redpills.tv/patriot. Again, that's redpills.tv/patriot. And also, don't forget, let's go, Brandon. All right, guys, we are back. That was Jim Price, thejimpriceshow.com. I love Jim, man. We have some great conversations. We did talk over a little bit of each other, but you know what? I think we both had a lot to say, and we're both very knowledgeable on these topics. So I actually loved where that conversation went because it's all tied in together. It's all interconnected. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the raffle. Then we're going to end this part of the show. We're going to take about a 20-minute break, and then we're going to go into Fringe After Dark. Fringe After Dark will be on the Zoom and YouTube. It'll be free for everybody on the Social Red Pill. So if you're signed up for the Social Red Pill, redpills.tv/social. The YouTube link will be shared there on the platform. And then the Zoom link, if you're in the Master Patreon group, You know where that Zoom link is. Just go to the Master Patreon, click on that one. There is a Zoom link. But let's go ahead and get this raffle going. I got this right here. And so it is now closed out. And so the first gift that we are going to give away, all right, is going to be these HempWorks CBD bath bombs, all right? And these things are, man, these are not cheap. They're like $80. But let me go ahead. I got the names all in there. I'm going to do the first pick. And you guys don't need me to share this. I'm using wtools.io/random picker. I got all the names in there. And so what it does is it goes out there and picks. So if you had 20 entries, it puts your name in there 20 times. So you have those 20 probabilities to win, right? So what we're going to do is go here, and we got all the names in there, and Scott Hayes. So if I have a note taker out of there, and if there's a gift if there's something that you get that you don't want, or you want to trade and exchange with someone, you can definitely do that. But Scott Hayes, congrats, my friend. That goes to you, and I'm just going to write your name on the box for you. All right. And by the way, we also have subscription memberships as well that are being played out in here. So the next one that we're going to do, let me go in here, and please don't go buy any more. I don't think you actually can. Should be locked out, or maybe it's not. Oh, stop. Don't do that. All right, that's what I was looking for. All right, the next thing that we are going to raffle off is going to be... This is going to be a Master Patron annual subscription. So, annual subscription, Master Patron. And let's go in here, grab this little calculator. And Kurt Bridges. So, Kurt, congratulations on that. Very cool. And so, Vince, I see that you're out there. If you could just take notes on this, that would be awesome and much appreciated. I got it right here, but it's best to have two people to verify that. Let me see here. Where is... there it is. I got to move that over here. And let's go ahead and do... Let's do the Star Wars Dr. Sasquatch Star Wars collectible. Okay? This is one of my favorites, guys. I took my name out of it, by the way. I'm going to put Star Wars here. All right, let's look. And this one's going to be... Tara Nussbaum. All right. Congrats, Tara. Very cool. This is kind of fun. Yep. Kurt's like, yes, I'm a winner. Heck yeah, man. So let me see here. So there's 5 of those. So now there's 4 left. So 1 out of 5. Write that there. Let's go next, and we're gonna go to Anzar the Progenitor. This is by Dr. Bruce Solheim. This is not an autographed copy. This is just the book that we are raffling off right here. This is from Bruce himself. All right. I'm going to go in here, and the winner is Pearly. All right, Pearly. Pearly, if you do already have the book, let me know. I can help you out on that, okay? Anzar is Pearly. All right, so let's go with I know this one was a big one that everybody was talking about. We're gonna go with Wirt Suds. They gave us a whole collection of soaps. We have like this little necklace right here that was made. We have a whole bunch of these different. I can't even explain to you the smell of this box. It is absolutely amazing. So whoever gets these soaps, if it's a dude, just use them on yourself. They smell great. I bought some for myself, but if I'm telling you, you guys want this. This is an amazing one. So we're gonna go Wort Suds right here. And this is, I'm telling you, this stuff is amazing. And Susan Makak. I'm sorry, Susan. I know who you are, but I can't. Makaki? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. But Susan, you know who you are? You won this. All right. Oh, she's going to love it. Dude needs it. Thanks, man. All right. The next thing that we're going to do. And I think we have 3 of these. And this is Hempworks Mantra Essential Oils Chakra Kit. Okay? And you open it up and you kind of look inside and there's the chakra oils right there. And there's 3 of these. So if you don't get this one, don't worry, you'll get another one. These are $100 value, by the way. So this is kind of a big one. Mantra Chakra. Okay, I'm going to say 1 of 3. And the winner is, drum roll, Andrea Kreft. All right, Andrea, there you go. That's pretty cool. All right, that's an easy one. Andrea. And there's 3 of those, so we'll do the other ones here in a minute. The next thing that we're going to do, Real Magic, Dr. Dean Radin. And this comes with the autographed insert from Dr. Dean Radin himself. So you can go ahead and put that in there. So this is a cool autographed copy of the book Real Magic. I got to write this down, sorry. And there's only 1 of these. So here we go. You guys ready? Holly Reeves. There you go. Congrats, Holly. That's pretty cool. Let's go in here. All right. The next thing that we have is, and this is kind of weird for me, but hey, look, I'll throw it out there anyway. A 1-hour meet and greet with the host of your choice. So kind of through Zoom, you get 1 hour meet and greet with the host of your choice, whether it's Jason, Vince, Amicus, myself, whoever it might be. And if it ends up being one of you guys, then no, sorry, I'm just joking. And with this one, I'm going to throw in there the 1-year Master Patron as well. So this goes along with the 1-year Master Patron. So if you get the 1-year Master Patron, which was Kirk, you also get this meet and greet. So this is one of the 5. So we're going to go ahead and pick this one again. And so this is for the Master Patron with 1 hour. I can't be pronouncing this correctly. I'm sorry. Cynthia Wirtz. Of Wort Suds right there. Awesome, Cynthia. So the 1 annual Master Patron with the 1 hour meet and greet. So awesome. I'm excited to meet you, actually. Write that down. All right. So we have 3 Admiral Patrons. So these are a 1-year annual Patreon subscription. This comes with everything that the annual the Admiral Elite subscription comes with. So you get the Crypto Mastermind, you get the 1 hour, you get everything. So you get a free shirt, I think, with this as well. So this is one of the big ones. This is one of 3 that will be given away. All right. And so this one is going to be Guillermo Aguilo. Good job, man. Awesome. And I'll be contacting you guys within the day within a day or two to get this out. So Guillermo, awesome, man. Congrats on that. You just won the Admiral Patron, one of 3 there. Next, I'm going to be giving the raffling one of the $30 gift certificates. All right, and so actually, the best way I'm going to do this is there's 10 of these, and so I'm going to pick 10 winners out of this. And so for this one is $30 merch gift cards to the Redpill store, okay? And so there's going to be 10 of them. And let's see here. All right, so I got to write this down. Give me a second. I'll announce these names in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. $30 merch. Sorry. Actually, what I'm going to do is do that like this. Hold on. I got to do something real quick. Open that up. There we go. This makes it so much easier. $30 merch. All right. And I'm going to put this right here like this. 2. And I'll announce these names in 1 second. Since there's multiple names in here, some of them come up more than once. So, there we go. All right. So the 10 names for $30 worth of the Redpill merch are Brendan Powers, Ember Lewis, Tammy Dean, Leilani Holloway. We have Anthony Kim, Leisha Frangen, Samantha Chang. Did Scott already win? Oh, Scott Groft again, and then Jamie Hyen. And I know that was only 9 names, wasn't it? And the other one was Lisa Anshanko. I forgot how to spell your name. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry, Lisa. And then Lisa is the other one. So awesome on that, guys. Congratulations. That's for $30 gift cards. And I got to get all these documents. I got them all written right here, but I'm just going to use my Word document from now on. It's just a little bit easier. All right. So that was the $30 merch cards. Let's go on to the next one, which is going to be one of my favorites, actually. This is the autographed version of Denial of Justice by Mark Shaw. We all know who Mark is. Autographed version right there. And let's go ahead and do this one. And so I'm going to say Denial of Justice, Mark Shaw. And let's go ahead and pick this name. Excuse me. One lucky winner. Heather Espinoza. Congratulations, Heather. You just won this awesome book. It's kind of interesting. I think you live in the same town as him too, so that's kind of cool. All right. And let's do the other 4 of the Master Patron right now. How about that? Other 4 for the Master Patron. And I'll have those names up in 1 second. All right, and get my Word document up here. Master Patron with the 1 hour. This comes with the 1 hour. Master Patron with 1 hour Zoom with host of your choice. And so we got And there's 5 of these. We announced one a few minutes ago. I believe that was Kirk. And these winners are... Hold on a second. Roseanne Chipiali. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. Christine Christensen, Mark Heverly, and Janaka Combs. So you guys just won that Master Patron with a 1-hour Zoom. Congratulations to all of you guys. What else have we got here? We got, I know what we have. We have we added a few things. People are like, bring it. Heck yeah. And I want to get this all correct when we're advertising people's businesses. So give me 1 second and let me get this stuff corrected. And we'll do this. So there's the email campaign. I want to go ahead and view this baby. All right. Yeah, what a good show with Jim. That was awesome. And so the next one is from Lauren Lay, and I believe there's 4 of these. Yes, there's 4 of them. If there's not, there is now, and I'll just pay Lauren. It's fine. But this is My Wave Song. If you guys remember this, this is the 1-hour quantum biofeedback vibrational therapy with Lauren. There's 4 of these, and we'll go ahead and... Hold on 1 second here. Just want to make sure we got everybody represented here. All right. All right, cool. So there's 4 of these. Let's go ahead and do this. And we're going to get... All right. So the 4 people that got this, I'll announce them here in 1 second. I got to open this up, write it down first. Quantum feedback session is going to be Dee Etheridge Blair, Jason Wright, Ryan Putissi, Marlena Hartsook. So you guys, congratulations on that. You get that 1-hour quantum biofeedback session. And what else do we got here? We got some more stuff here. We got the Shibuchi Chi Bijou jewelry. This is the from Vicky C, Inspired Heart, Awakened Soul. She's awesome. Vicky is awesome. She's a consultant for paparazzi accessories, and she donated a few pieces of jewelry. There's only one of these that go out there, and so we'll go ahead and do this one. And Marlena. So, and by the way, you can win multiple times on this, guys. And so Marlena Hartsook, this is also coming to you. So very cool, because there is multiple entries with multiple people because they bought multiple tickets. So some people bought 20, 30 tickets. So just got to look at it in that way. And so jewelry. Marlena. Awesome. Congrats, Marlena, on that. And Restoration Ministries, this is Daniel Whitney. He's offering colloidal silver in 12-ounce bottles for your health and wellness. Daniel has provided 4 12-ounce bottles of colloidal silver for the Redpill project for this. So we're going to go ahead and do those 4 bottles of colloidal silver right now. And, oh, nope, that's not the button I wanted to push. Darn it. All right. Try that again. Oh no! Deleted my whole list. That's okay. I got it right here. We're good. We're good. Throw all that back in there. All right. Dolores Lazette, Mark Averly, Ember Lewis, and, well, Dolores came up there twice. So, Dolores, you can't win the same thing twice. So, we'll put that like that. And let me copy those names. And Andra Willis. And so this is colloidal silver. Awesome. Congrats, guys. Let me get this in here. Man, we should have had Vince join to kind of like do a little intermediary while I'm doing all this. I'm joking. That was it for those businesses that we had. Let's look at what we have here. Ooh, $100 of Bitcoin or Ethereum, your choice. This is coming from Dan Craybill. He runs a merchant services company. If you're interested in it, he's linked up in the email we sent out. You can also find him on the social Redpill. You'll never pay more than $45 a month with him. So if you're looking for merchant services, credit card processing, these types of things, contact Dan. And he donated $100 of Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever one that you want. And so let's do this. Let's pull this one up. Okay, guys, are you ready for this one? This is going to be the $100 winner of Bitcoin or Ethereum. And this is Ryan Catledge. Ryan Catledge, congratulations. You just won $100 of Bitcoin or $100 of Ethereum. Awesome on that, buddy. And so we're going to go $100 Bitcoin, and we're going to put Ryan on there. All right. Congrats, Ryan. Let me go. Let me see what we have left here. I think we got some more stuff left, right? We do. We got some autographed hats. What we're going to do. And then we got these things. So if you guys remember Dr. Bruce Solheim, he did comic books. And so we have 2 of the comic books, both autographed. All right. And so let's go ahead and do these ones. And so there's going to be 2 winners here. Two winners here, and we have Anna Evans and Tammy Dean. Tammy Dean and Anna Evans. Congrats, you guys just won those 2 autographed copies. I need to go down here. Okay. Snark. All right. Congrats, ladies. Let me go in here. I think that was it for the books that we had. We have that. We have 2 more Admiral Elite annual subscriptions. And then we have the hats. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I think that's it with the books. That is definitely it with the books. Oh, and we got the 2 more... the 2 other aromatherapy ones, the chakra kits, these ones. Andrea won the first one. We have 2 more of these. Let's do these before we get to everything else. And so for these ones, we got Sarah Dugaro, and Pearly G. All right, Pearly and Sarah. Awesome. And so I'm going to put you down, chakra kits. I think I put this up here. All right. Mantra, shock, kits. Congrats, ladies. All right. Now for the remaining Admiral Elites, and we're doing 5 hats. So 5 hats. So the 5 hats, what you do is I'm going to reach out to you. You let me know if you want, and it'll just take longer to get to you if Jay and I both have to sign it. But if you just want like my signature on it, if you just want the hat, whatever, you just let me know. And we will be more than happy to get an autographed hat out to you. So there's going to be 5 hats. And Anthony Kim, Leisha Franson, Holly Reeves, Kurt Bridges, and Brendan Powers. That is the winners of the 5 hats right there. And guys, thank you so much for doing this raffle, and for everybody who's donated everything to help this out and help raise money for the Redpill Project. It is so much appreciated. And it's funny, too, because Anthony's been yelling at me that he wants an autographed shirt, so now he's getting an autographed hat so he can just shut up. I'm messing with you, buddy. I'm messing with you. All right, and the last thing that we have left is 2 Admiral Elite subscriptions. 2 Admiral Elite subscriptions, and this is going to go to D.D. Blair and Richard Dickens. So, D.D. and Richard, congrats. You guys just won the 2 Admiral Elite subscriptions, or 2 remaining Admiral Elite subscriptions. Admiral Elite, and that comes with everything else that comes with the Admiral Elite. Now, I want to ask some people out there, because I see that we have some people out there right now on Pilled who've stayed with us this whole time. We got people on there on YouTube, Twitch, DLive, who did not buy a raffle ticket. I think a lot of people didn't buy a raffle ticket, right? Let me see here. All right. Okay. So, give me a day. And I want to give everybody a Christmas present. So, you know, let me think how to do this the best way that we're going to do it, right? I mean, all of you guys help and support this show, and it's so much appreciated. We just love you guys so much. So I just want to give back because that's just how I feel. So give me a day and let me think what we can do on the platform to give everybody. So if you are on the Social Red Pill, the only way you're going to get this is if you're on the Social Red Pill, is head on over to the Social Red Pill. And what we'll do is, you know, I'll be announcing a gift to everybody in the next day or so, whether it's merch or whether it's, you know, something or another, subscription or whatever it might be. So if you're, please go on over, sign up to the Social Red Pill, make sure you're up there. Oh, I do have, so in some of those boxes, there's going to be a special little gift, and you'll laugh when you get it. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get it. You guys will like it. But yeah, if you're on the Social Red Pill, we'll be doing something special for you guys because we love you. All right. So just know that. So the only way to get that is to be on the Social Red Pill. And we'll be kind of just randomly giving things out here in the next few days. As well as tomorrow, Christmas Day, we'll be opening up the Zoom. I'll be joining in towards the evening time and jumping in there, and we can all hang out. So if you have family, want to hang out with us, very cool. If you don't have family and just want to join in with the Red Pill, jump on in. And we can all hang out. But, you know, I want everybody to be a winner. So head on over to the Social Red Pill if you haven't signed up. Sign up for that. And then in the next few days, I'll make that announcement and get that out to you guys. I got to talk to some people to see the best way to do this. All right. But love you guys. Respect you guys. Hope you guys have a great day. 20 minutes and we'll be on Fringe After Dark. The YouTube link will be placed on the Social Red Pill. So it's 100% free tonight. We're just going to hang out, have a good conversation, shoot the shit. Can't stay too late because obviously tomorrow's Christmas, but we can hang out. I'm probably just going to have a drink and relax, and I hope you guys do as well. But 20 minutes for the Zoomers. You guys just use the last link that you had for Fringe After Dark if you want to join in the Zoom. If you just want to join in on the YouTube link will be posted in the Social Red Pill. So Merry Christmas, everybody. We love you. God bless you. You guys take care. And we'll see some of you guys later. And other people, you know, we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.